at the bottom of a mead glass.
Oh well, very very excited. Well, let's go ahead. And what are we going to be doing today specifically?
Okay, so I'm not gonna.
No, now you got to do the whole. You got to do
time?
everything we do today in that voice. Now it's too late. You already did it.
Well, Alfred,
Oh,
we're
no,
doing
please
a
stop.
Halloween tier list.
Oh Lord. Well, I'm excited. There's a bunch of movies here, obviously on the screen. I've seen quite a bit of them. Frank, could you say how if you had to give an estimate out of all the movies here, would you say you'd be more that you've seen or less that you've seen?
I would say more.
Okay, good. I think this might be a fun list. And then Fee, you say you pretty much watched a lot of these movies?
Yeah, I've definitely seen Cannibal Holocaust.
I've not seen that motion picture.
It's a real kicker.
It's a real kicker. Hello,
Get
beard
your
in the
red
hair in the
yams.
chat. How are you today?
Oh, hey, shit! It's Harv.
It's Harv.
Carlos, how's it going? How's it hanging?
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
We, of course, are going to be doing some Halloween tier lists, starting with some famous horror movies.
Correct.
And so I personally would like to start with, let's start immediately putting movies that we haven't seen and put them on the F tier list. Not necessarily F tier being bad, just we haven't got to them yet. Because this is supposed to be some better ones.
They don't count.
Yeah.
We haven't seen them. We don't have an opinion on them.
I would say F tier is like future horror films that we need to watch.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, okay, how about this? Fee, I'm going to have you start. What is a movie on here that you haven't seen? And should we do like a majority rules kind of thing where it's like if two of us have seen it, then it goes on our normal list? Or how would you like to do this? We should have discussed this off screen, but you know what? We're doing it live.
Here's the thing. I think it should definitely go like, if it's not as well known in the present day, and more than two of us haven't seen it, I feel as though it should go to the F tier.
Okay.
For example, The Phantom Carriage. Now, if any of you've seen this 1921 blockbuster hit, it is a horror film about, you guessed it, a phantom carriage. Have either of you seen this?
No,
I've not seen The Phantom Carriage.
That's a good one to point out. So I'm going to immediately drag that straight and put it on the, not necessarily the F list, but like need to see list. There we go.
Excellent.
Need to see. All right, cool. Frank, how about yourself? Is there something here that you've never seen that you would like to add to the need to see list?
Yeah, Child's Play.
You've never... Frank. Harv.
Weren't you just on a podcast about Child's Play?
It's funny that you mentioned that. Yes, I was just on a podcast with Joe Mertens about that.
Wow, can you tell us about that experience quickly?
Yeah.
This is a great segue.
It's really great. Actually, he just released the episode today on Halloween. It is episode 21 of his podcast, Murder with Mertens. And we discussed, funny enough, Child's Play. So I have seen it. I am a liar.
Wow.
Is there possibly another film that you haven't seen?
Fuck. Let me see. You know what? Funny enough, I haven't seen Zombie. It's one of those films that every time I try to torrent it, I cannot find it because it just comes up as like Dawn of the Dead or something.
You know what? I have never seen it.
I've also not seen Zombie.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead.
Yeah, that's like the Italian one, like the Italian only film.
I'm pretty sure
Zombie.
in Italy it's called Evil Dead 2 or Dawn of the Dead 2 or something. Like I forgot. There's some weird other name for it.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna go with I've never seen Nosferatu. I've seen clips of it. I've never actually watched the film. It is really old.
Yep.
One of the oldest.
Yeah, I'm 100% there with you. I've seen clips of it, but I've never actually seen that actual film.
Yes.
Same.
Thank you.
Ironic, you being Ed Wood, by the way.
Well, this is even older than Ed Wood. Ed Wood was 50s, 60s, but thank you.
I know.
But a magnificent motion picture. But of course, so Carlos says Zombie 2 is Dawn of the Dead in Italy. So
Okay, cool.
that's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, and I think the reason why they couldn't use it over here is because they already had Dawn of the Dead, so it was like, oh, well, zombie then.
There you go.
Huh.
All right, Fee. I'm gonna let you pick the next movie that we need to see that we most of us have not probably seen.
Most of us probably haven't seen. Now, I know Frank has seen this, but Mario, have you seen Cannibal Holocaust?
No, nor will I maybe ever. That's not.
So then, in that case, can I put it somewhere on the list?
This is
I'm
the
not gonna put it
collective. This is the collective of. Like, I mean, should we?
Okay,
I would-
here's the thing. Here's the deal. This is gonna be fun. For the person who has seen it, you have to try to sell us Cannibal Holocaust in 30 seconds or less.
Okay, Cannibal Holocaust is a movie about a bunch of journalists who go to like a rural area, and I don't remember where. I want to say like South America, and they find a cannibalistic tribe of people who eat them, and you have to watch how these people either try to escape or get eaten by actual people. It is gross. It's grotesque. There's a lot of gore, and it doesn't really hold back. It's one of those. It's also a film that's kind of in like a documentary style, almost, if I remember correctly. It's like somewhat found footage and somewhat like, hey, we're going to go find the people who have been missing for some time footage kind of thing. It's not the best movie in the world. It's not also the scariest movie in the world. It's just kind of gross and grotesque.
Do you think it belongs on our list? Going on on any of the tiers?
I would say D tier. Like the gore and effects is really good. But that's, I mean, unless you really have the fear of being alone in a random rural area, then it's not really all that scary.
You know what? I like this idea, Fee. I like the idea of us having to explain the movie to the other, and then where they would normally put it. I think it'd be cool, and then we could just probably put it on that tier, and then we could just talk about that maybe afterwards. I think that like if we get out of all the ones we've all have collectively seen, and those are the ones where like, which ones are the top ones? I think that would be pretty sick. So
Sure.
okay. So who said you said Holocaust? So Frank, what's another movie you haven't seen?
Ah, shit. Let me see here. That's it. The Birds? I've never seen that. What the hell is The Birds?
Oh my!
You never seen
what?
The Birds? Okay.
You never seen The Birds?
Okay.
Okay.
Hitchcock.
I've never seen The
Hitchcock
Birds.
classic. Let's see.
Yeah.
I've seen Birdemic, Bird Pandemic.
Very
I don't know
similar.
what the hell it was. Birdemic, I think it was, or some shit like that.
Yeah, Birdemic. It was a very schlocky, like kind of a joke movie, starring nobody that you know. But yeah, The Birds is it Tippi Hedren? Am I saying that right?
I think so.
Yeah, Tippi Hedren starring, where basically a town is ransacked by literal actual birds, and there's some pretty wild, somewhat dated effects, but they did have scenes where they had collectively like hundreds of birds do some really wild and insane tricks. But I don't know if me and you both have seen it.
Correct.
If we had to put it on the list, like where would it be a top tier movie?
I would probably have to say like maybe C.
Okay.
Like, here's
Yeah.
the thing: it's an Alfred Hitchcock movie,
Yeah.
and it is so referenced in media to this day. A really good episode that's actually a Halloween-esque episode of that 70s show actually had a lot of references of the birds. And yeah, I would probably I would say like a high C, maybe a very like low B, only because of how referenced it is in pop culture to this day.
Yeah, I could definitely see it possibly be at least in C category. The Hitchcock, prestige gives it.
Yeah.
some credence there. So I mean, I'll slap it in the C. We can move this list around obviously as we really get down into it, but
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
for my movie, I'm gonna say Pandorum. I think is this one right here. Pandorum.
Okay. Which one is that?
I have no clue. It's right here.
Oh.
I've
I've
seen
never
this
seen
poster.
Pandorum.
Yeah, I've seen this poster, but I've never ever heard of the actual movie. So
I have not. Let's see. Pandorum.
what is this?
Let's see. I have the explanation here. It's on Wiki. So my
Okay.
apologies, everybody. Pandorum is a 2009 German-British science fiction horror film with elements of Lovecraftian horror and survival adventure. The film was directed by Christian Elvert and produced by Robert Kolzer, Jeremy Bolt, and Paul W.S. Anderson, the latter two through the Impact Pictures banner. Travis Moore wrote it, whatever. So let me okay. Where's an actual explanation? Okay, the plot. After human overpopulation depletes Earth's resources, humanity rebuilds an interstellar ark, the Elysium. It carries 60,000 people on a 123-year trip colonizing Tanis, an Earth-like planet. The passengers are placed in hypersleep, and rotating crew wake binarily to maintain the ship. 8 years into the mission, the ship receives a transmission from Earth. You're all that's left of us. Good luck, God bless, and Godspeed. And some unknown time later, two members of the flight crew, Corporal Bauer and Lieutenant Payton, awaken. Improper emergence from the pronatory state leaves them both in partial amnesia and possibly suffering from Pandorum, the space-related disorder that causes psychosis. When under emotional distress, the ship experiences power surges caused by an unstable nuclear reactor and unable to enter the bridge. While Peyton stays behind, access the ship's computer, Bauer uses the ventilation system to search for the reactor. So it's a space horror film. Honestly, I'd probably check this out. It seems kind of cool.
The Paul Thomas Anderson, or PW, that's obviously the same guy who did Mortal Kombat 2. No, he didn't do Mortal Kombat 2. The Resident Evil movies.
Dennis
but-
Quaid's in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
I've
Dennis.
never-
Oh, whoa! No, Norman Reedus is in this film.
Oh, Frank, this guy you like all over. You got Norman Reedus. You got
Nah, but it's made by the guy who did Evil Dead.
The thing is, he
Not
also
Evil
did
Dead,
this
Resident
movie.
Evil.
He did this movie, which I don't know if any of us seen either, which is
I'm not.
another one of those Lovecraftian space movies. So I wonder if it's just a send up of this movie specifically, where it's a crew intercepts another station in space, and the crew is gone. They don't know where it are. They find this footage, and they all, for some reason, were in some ritual sacrifice / orgy, and they accidentally open a gate to hell. It's basically the premise of Doom. That is supposedly really good. I've never seen it, but
Oh,
it's apparently the one movie that people say like, "Hey, Paul W.S. Anderson actually had a solid movie. This was it." So I don't know. I've never seen it. I don't think anybody here's seen it.
I haven't seen it. I tend to avoid that guy.
and Event Horizon has Lawrence Fishburne in it.
Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill.
Huh?
Yes.
What?
It's
Jason Isaac?
supposed to be, like I said, it's one of those movies where it's like this was the start of his career. Then he did
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, and then he met Mia Jovovich, and then his life is never the same.
Yeah, he's never been the same.
Are we just bad at horror films? Because we have quite a bit in the.
No, that's
Some of these are kind of out there, though.
I mean, you know how long it took me to finally see Train to Busan? It took me years to finally watch
Fair.
that movie, and that movie is phenomenal. So,
Oh, 100%.
all right,
Why don't we,
Yeah?
for a quick change of pace, why don't we pick a film and just start putting it up on
that's
the
fine.
list?
Let's do it. Let's do
You
it.
know
How
what? If you're about to say me, I know exactly which one I'm going to point out.
do it.
Um,
Do it.
Quentin Tarantino's 10 out of 10 horror film on his top 10 list of all time the movie, the legend, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Where are we sliding it up?
Oh, straight to the D. Oh, wait.
D?
Oh, where are you putting
What?
it, Fee? Oh, it got put in D. There we
Okay.
go.
I'm sliding
Okay,
around. I'm sliding around.
I don't know. I definitely didn't put that into D. Here's the dealio. I personally, I'm Quentin. I get it. You like the gore. You like the savagery. I'd give it a B.
You
Give it
say
a B.
I would say
I would-
B because, like, once again, it's still prolific when
Yeah.
it comes to horror films, and it is still like whenever like any sort of horror like any sort of like director talks about their favorite horror films, it's always one of the films that's pointed out. It's just like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it was just like so like it was probably a lot of people's first horror film. It came out in 1974. This is not the new version, as a heads up, everybody. This is the 1974 version. I don't know. Like, I personally was not my favorite. I cannot say that it was my favorite.
Damn, you're getting yelled at.
You good?
Music just started. Yeah, music just randomly started playing in my ears, and I was very confused. I was just like, "What the fuck? Why is this playing? Where is it coming from?" Yeah, no,
I'll
Yeah,
start piggybacking on you. I watched this movie for the first time this year,
okay.
so I have fresh eyes on the movie. I bought blind bought the Blu-ray because it was a steelbook, and so I was like, you know what? Everyone talks about this being classic. I'm not necessarily into cannibalism, but I'll give this a shot. I'll see it. You know, I've seen clips. I've never seen the whole movie in full context. And I'll say that I think it's actually worthy of as like the praise that it gets. It is definitely of its time in the 70s, which a lot of these movies are. They're really of their times, and that really reflects in the art that they're trying to portray.
For sure.
Specifically about sort of like Vietnam era, sort of like with the stuff going on with our troops and veterans, but as well as like economy stuff is in there. And overall, it's pretty interesting for what it is. It's also really visually done. It was directed by Tobe Hooper, who went on to do Poltergeist and a bunch of other like phenomenal films. And so, I think it's in the echelon, but I would actually rest it on B. Personally, it's not something I would watch.
So here's the thing.
All the time. I'll even slide down to C, maybe. I
argue it's more of an A tier movie.
Really?
Oh,
it's not perfect, but I really like this movie. One, it's scary in the sense of like it's marketing as well.
Yeah.
It's like, this is based on a real story, stuff like that. As a kid, that fucking terrified me. This could have happened. It's based on something that might have happened. Obviously, it's not word for word exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I think this is an Ed Gein story, if I'm correct. The actual psychopath.
Yes.
But I like this just because it has that element of unlike Friday the 13th later on or any of these other kind of horror films, this is more grounded and a lot more realistic than a lot of those films. This could technically happen. There's nothing here to say that some human can't go crazy, be a cannibal, and kill people with chainsaws.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no mystical thing to it. There's nothing else to that. So the fact that it's so grounded in reality, and then just the atmosphere of the film, this creepy farmstead with, everything's all kind of like dark and there's a ton of shadows. You can't really see a lot of what's going on in that house. And you have that creepy house of just like knickknacks and things all over it. And it's so eerie and so atmospherically scary that you're constantly on edge, wondering okay, what's going on here? And then as the story slowly develops into the family being cannibals, and then them kind of showing their true face, where they're very welcoming at first, but you even see that there's something wrong. There's something wrong with them. They're almost too friendly, and then that slowly unravels, and then Leatherface gets introduced. And you just imagine being in a room with a bunch of people who are against you. They outnumber you, and then you have this fucking giant, dude with a face mask on with a chainsaw, you have no way. You are just straight up surprised at that point. You don't even know how to process anything in that room. It is scary, and just the idea of that, where like you can run miles and miles and miles and never get any help because you are deep in the woods, my friend. So all you're going to hear is chainsaw and somebody chasing you, and you better hope you did cardio because you're going to be running for a long time. It is, that part to me is like scary. It's the isolation, it's the atmospheric fear, and then it's the final little alley oop with the actual chainsaw wielding character. And I guess the creepiness of it is it's just a guy. It's just a guy in like a butcher's costume or a guy in a suit, and that itself is creepy.
I also find that the movie, being a progenitor of its time, it's before Friday the 13th. It's before the slasher genre really takes off. So this is definitely the progenitor of that genre. But it also has some other interesting things that you would be shocked to see in there. Specifically, there's a moment where Leatherface is putting on makeup. There's definitely some interesting identity issues happening in there that I find fascinating, as well as, yeah, it's fucking terrifying just how real everything feels and looks, and the filmmaking of it. And there's not a lot of music in it, if I remember correctly. Like there's a lot of silence and a lot of just like hearing things like, dishes being done, or just like people like walking around in the house, footsteps. It does the sound design's more on the actual like what's going on rather than like here's a jump scare sound. You know what I mean? You have to be scared just because based on this music. Yeah, if anything, the only major music is when they're in the car at the beginning, and that's really it. And then obviously one of the most famous horror sounds is the camera photos that they take. So yeah, you know what? I'll let it set at 8 tier. What do you think? What do you think, Faye? He did make a compelling argument there.
Oh no, he definitely did. It's hard. It's because I will admit, like I first saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre like within the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Which you know what? I'm okay with sitting in an A tier. I would probably, for me, it would be a low A, but I'm okay with it moving up to the A tier.
I think once we go in and like fill this out, we should go back in and revise it and just be like, all right, you know what? Compared to these, does it sit along these?
Yeah, this list is going to dynamically change anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Frank, it is now your turn to pick a movie that you believe deserves to be on the top of the list. Now, if we haven't seen
top of the list?
No, just just on the list. Pick one.
Okay.
Yeah, where you feel like it should be on the list. If we haven't seen it, then we'll talk about that too.
You know what? I'm a fucking sucker for atmosphere, so we're gonna talk about another atmospheric movie right here. It's 28 Days Later.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 28 Days Later is I'm gonna go with B tier horror movie.
Okay.
Okay, and why is that?
It does a lot of this. It does a lot of world building, right? It's very scary in the sense of like, hey, you are the last people on this earth. We have this virus. The zombies run. Like, that's fucking creepy. I do like the premise of the virus where it's a blood virus as opposed to like it's just a bite, meaning that like there's a scene where somebody accidentally gets a drop of blood from, I believe, someone hanging on a something.
Yeah,
and they turn into a zombie like right there and then just because they got a drop of blood in their eye. The zombies are terrifying, but even then, this movie also, while it takes the zombies into account and like just being the overwhelming odds of a lot of them versus you, on top of the fact that they're running, on top of the fact that they're absolutely like berserked out because I think this one's called the rage virus or something like that.
Yeah.
People they're berserked out, like these are crazy zombies. The movie kind of takes a turn halfway through where it stops really kind of focusing on the zombies and also kind of focusing on what happens to people late too as well. Whereas later on in the movie, you realize that there are people who are as terrifying as the zombies because they're just normal people who are now doing bad shit. We have military who are keeping people like hostage, and they're like, oh, we got to repopulate the world. So they're like kidnapping women and children. It's like, it's absolutely fucked up. And it's like, okay, well, if you can't turn to society because society is broken, and you can't turn to the military, fuck, we're all that's left. We're done. Like, that's it. We're on our own. And it's that fear of being on your own in a world that's like everything's trying to kill you is just so fucking scary. But it's not like scary in the sense like, oh, it's perfect. It has its scenes where I'm just like, we can move on. It is a little bit long. There are scenes where I'm like, yeah, we could have done without that. But overall, I think it's a horror movie that should be watched, but not necessarily perfect or necessarily iconic.
I'll back off that and say a lot of the things that obviously that you said, you obviously could talk about the original, which is Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead really is all those things to begin with. And I do think that at least this version of it did elevate zombies to a new tier, which then we got the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which is the Faz zombies. If I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, but the zombies don't eat people. They just fucking attack, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they rip you apart. They're just... unlike Night of Living Dead zombies, they're not necessarily hungry. They're just fucking really angry.
Yeah.
And they just want to kill everything around them. So they're just out for blood, and that's really kind of about it.
No, absolutely. So I wish that I've seen this movie recently. I haven't. It's been a very, very, very long time. Personally, I don't know if it, because I have not revisited, even though I own it. I have it actually on my physical media list. I think it's still sealed. I bought it and I never opened it because I never had the feeling to actually revisit it, even though it's lingering there. I think I'd rather put it with the birds. I think I'd rather, at least for now, put it with C, because if Dawn of the Dead is on this list, which I believe it is somewhere here, if it's not, I'll take a look. Other than the remake, we'll have that discussion when we when we have it. But I don't know. I'm feeling more C, if anything.
What do you think, Faye?
I personally, I haven't seen this movie in well over a decade. I'm not gonna lie. And if you asked me, other than like the main topics that you both have talked about, I don't know. Like, it didn't really stand. It obviously came out like, I think it was about 6 to 8 years before the big like zombie wave that hit in like 2010, and like I guess 2019 was around the time. So 2019, and then it like really hit in 2012 with like The Walking Dead, and we saw like this massive like wave of zombies. But it came around like, I think Resident Evil was like the first of the series came out at around that time when it came to movies. Yeah. So like, I thought that was definitely like, it stood out to me because it wasn't the typical slow zombie trope, which like, cool, like you can only do so much with like slow zombies. But we also saw that kind of like rage type of zombie with the Resident Evil zombies. At least that's what I specifically got from it, because like the moment that they notice like any sort of like human being in any facility or any like vicinity, they're just like, rah! But I also kind of agree with Frank with the idea that like it's not just the zombies that are out to get you, but it's like everybody. Which at the time was relatively new trope. We did see that quite a bit later on. Man, this sucks.
I'm looking at the cast list here, and there's some people here that I forgot were in this movie. Like
Cillian Murphy is also in this movie before Peaky Blinders boy.
This
is my introduction to him as well.
Yeah. So he's a very, very, very pretty.
He does really well in this movie. He's he's the main character who wakes up 28 days after the viruses hit the thing. So he was in the hospital, and he wakes up 28 days later after.
Really, the original fucking what's his face?
Rick Grimes. Rick Grimes. He's basically Rick Grimes. Yeah.
Straight up.
I really want to see if what predates. Is it 28 days later, or if it's Rob Kirkman on that premise?
I'm gonna look it up right now. Now. Let's see here. Walking Dead. Walking Dead was going on for a very long time.
Yeah, it's still going on.
I mean the comic book. The comic book.
Oh. Still
Yeah.
not.
And what's weird too is
The
like
next year.
I
2003. So 2002
okay.
was the movie. 2003 the comic came out. So I don't know if it was just.
It's possible, probably like maybe influenced a little bit. I wouldn't doubt it. It's a cool premise of waking up.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily being a part of the initial, because that's what Dawn of the Dead remake happens, right? Like it starts off immediately when the virus hits like ground zero, and this one is like, okay, what happens a month later? And weirdly enough, I'm pretty sure they were looking to do more movies after this because they did 28 weeks later.
They did
right after.
Yes.
And then we all thought there would be then 28 months and then 28 years, but those never happened. I think something. Yeah, I've been waiting for it. I think everybody really liked 28 Days Later. Not everybody really liked 28 Weeks Later. So then they just kind of nixed the franchise and said, fuck it, we'll just do zombie other things then.
I do love 28 Weeks Later because the beginning of that movie is fucked up. And if you remember 20... But I don't know. I have not seen these movies since I've seen them. You know, like these are not movies that I followed up with and like followed with me. There are scenes in them that I remember, but I don't even remember what happens at the end, you know? So... for now, let's keep...
Yeah, I also want to mention too, just before we move off 28 Days Later, now that I'm kind of more and more I'm remembering the movie, this movie is also very much Last of Us.
Yeah.
If you it starts with a person who meets then another person and a kid who then meets another person and another person, and you're kind of following them along the journey as these like days go by, where they just go through desolate city, creepy sewage areas, you know, UK planes and stuff like that. Like it's very much Last of Us before Last of Us was a thing.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. I'll leave it at B for now. We'll get it back into it.
Oh, okay.
When we get back into it.
Sounds good.
All right. Frank, let's just get into it because we already know that Fee's a hater. We're gonna talk about Evil Dead 2.
Okay.
Evil Dead 2. Let's put it on the list. Let's put it on the list.
Evil Dead 2, in my opinion, is S tier.
It is an S tier movie. This isn't a bias at all.
Not a bias whatsoever. Fundamentally inspired many movies that came afterwards, and it definitely is an influence, I would say, on a lot of Final Guys, if you will.
Yes.
Final Guys.
Yeah. It kind of takes that trope away of like the final guy is just some kind of wimpy dude who doesn't really kind of fight back and is more running away from everything. Finally introduced the protagonist who's like, fuck it, I'm fighting back, and fights back. He does, because Ash is a goddamn badass in this movie.
Yes, and I just the insanity level, the mixture of both it being a possession movie, the mixture of like a man going insane, combined with like awesome lore. The look of the movie is fantastic on such a small budget. This is, if I'm not mistaken, the birthplace of like Greg Nicotero, who did like a bunch of really amazing projects after the fact. Obviously responsible for The Walking Dead zombies as well. I don't know, man. I can't say enough great things about Sam Raimi and Evil Dead. They literally basically murdered Bruce Campbell on the set.
That man was going through it. I hope he eventually got paid for that.
Definitely, probably some of the most amounts of blood I've seen in a movie. Except for there's another movie I think isn't on this list. Yeah, it's on this list that is even bloodier. But yeah, Evil Dead, man. It just
it's going off of just even the movie itself. It's one of those movies that's also kind of like inspired a lot of movies. Stuff like the way they track Ash through the forest when he's getting like flung through the thing. That tracking POV shot, like you didn't see shit like that before. And now every time you watch other movies, like me and Mario were watching Lost Boys the other day, and they have a very similar shots just like that.
Multiple
very like, you know, how like POV shots of just like slowly zooming in on people. Child's Play is another movie that has that when Chucky's doing his little kills. It's just a tracking POV shot, just going straight into people and stuff like that. It's very good, and even the makeup, the effects, just the atmosphere of the film, they do a lot of times where it is just pure silence. And then they hit you with like just sounds, you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily need a monster to unnerve you. It just uses its area and cabin as a creature in itself more than it does actual creatures, and I think that's really unique and cool. It's just a movie that the other thing too, they mix comedy into it in such a more natural way than it doesn't feel forced. It never feels like it has to be a comedy movie. It I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Evil Dead is just that film. It's that guy.
Yeah. Fee, what I know that I think this is one of these you've actually not seen, primarily because you've seen the first one, and the first one is most lauded because of a tree scene.
Yeah.
Correct. And
yes.
then I didn't like the remake.
And you didn't
that
like the
came out in
remake specifically.
2013. I
Yes.
left the theater.
Yes.
Now, as a heads up, I've seen half of Evil Dead 2. And the way I saw it was I was watching it actually with our very own Frank here. Yeah.
Shout out to ISO Christian and his podcast, which
yes.
the name I know it had a small popcorn. I want to say
Large
popcorn.
Yeah.
Large popcorn
Yes.
podcast.
So one night we all planned on watching it. And they watched it. I muted myself as I slept in this chair.
I fell asleep.
I fell asleep. I straight up was just like rip. I did wake up a few times, mostly because of the sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely attest to the sounds. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of things about the series that I understand are very prolific. But there's a lot of things about the movies that I'm not cool with. So yeah. I love the video game, by the way. Video game's fantastic. I love that game. But the series just not for me. But I don't know.
I could see that too, because keep in mind, Evil Dead, as much as I hate to admit it, is a very much a dude bro franchise. Like it is just straight like Bruce Campbell shirt off. I'm just the biggest. I'm that dude, like kind of thing, right? And we love it because like it's action movie meets horror, right? We're finally getting the upper hand.
It's our horror movie, Clint Eastwood movie, you know?
Exactly. There we go. Clint Eastwood, right? Not everybody's going to jive with Clint Eastwood. He's our horror movie Clint Eastwood. We want to see him fight like everything because he's like, the alpha. But yeah, I could see why it can just kind of like not be everybody's kind of jam.
Yeah. No, it's just I don't know. There's gonna be a day that I'm gonna have to sit down and try to give them another chance. I will not be giving the 2013 version another chance. I could not get it past the vine scene and then the vomit scene. And then
yeah.
No, those were two things that I was just like,
the vomit
nope.
scene. Yeah.
I went on a date to that movie. Well, I was at my local drive-in seeing that movie, and I'm not just saying.
Did you tell me you walked away out of the car?
Oh, we drove.
Oh,
I told him we're leaving, and so we did.
Oh, I would break up with you so fast.
Good job.
I would break up with you so fast.
How dare you not like Evil Dead?
Well, no, it was just like I just wasn't enjoying it. Like, by the way, I'm not a jerk.
I know. I'm just joking.
I was just like, I was spending a lot of the movie just like feeling incredibly uncomfortable. My day was just like, you know what? Do you want to leave? And I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
So did we go get high? Absolutely. So it was just like,
I mean, you should have did that before Evil Dead. You might have actually liked it.
I don't know, man. The movie begins with like a murder of a woman. It's real fucked up. So like,
yeah. So that's another reason.
I will say also in defense of Fee, women are not necessarily treated very well in the series.
No, not even a little bit.
Like, that's why when I say like this is 100% a male fantasy more than anything, like it's I can understand that because like almost every woman in this series is either killed very horrifically or treated like shit by Ash. So.
I was gonna say not until the TV show, but the TV show also has its moments too, where I'm like,
Honestly, there's been a huge thing going around on a book talk recently. If you're not familiar, it's like book TikTok. But the premise of the difference between a woman writing about a woman and then a man writing about a woman, and that is very much a man writing out his versions of women in a series. Because it's essentially there's like no final women in that. Like as far as I remember, there's like a lot of like what Frank said, a lot of grotesque things, and especially the 2013 version. I'm just like that one. Like I will admit, was my first Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Was the 2013 version, and it just caused a rift with me with that entire series.
I will say, the Evil Dead remake is probably the only thing I would say that, even though terrible things do happen to women in that movie, it did give us our first Evil Dead final girl, with the main girl that is attacked by the vines. She is the hero of the movie.
Yes.
Oddly enough. But yes, I definitely understand. That's why I'm kind of happy it's not on this list. Frank, do you quickly just want to like just drop the Evil Dead series on this list since we've kind of like overall talking
might
about
as well.
it? Yeah, here,
might as well just finish it off. Army of Darkness is definitely a
where's Evil Dead?
I guess we can talk about Army of Darkness really quick. Army of Darkness is, in my opinion, not really a horror film. So if we're talking
back in time.
Yeah, he goes back in time, but this is more action movie than horror movie.
Yes.
Like it has horror elements to it, but every time there's any kind of horror element to it, it is immediately like shot down by humor.
Yeah.
So there's never really that feeling of, uneasiness, because Ash always has it. He's so confident. He's literally, like you said earlier, he's fucking Clint Eastwood in this universe. You know what I mean? Nothing is actually going to stop him. By now that he literally has plot armor on his side. So he is 100% going to win. And when your protagonist has plot armor on their side, it's basically just an action movie at that point. And
I was just going to say, one of my, honestly, and I'm not saying this just to meme or joke around, like one of my favorite horror films, specifically about the fact that it has that comedy aspect as well. Not gonna lie, also one about a cabin. It's Cabin in the fucking Woods, because that movie was fucking amazing.
Yep.
But they knew when to put the comedy. They also knew when to be like, when they were gonna. By the way, if you haven't seen Cabin in the Woods, it's amazing. I would probably put it in as an A tier. If not, like for me, like I know saying it's an S tier definitely pushes it. But I would definitely say it's an A tier. I know I apologize for hopping like ahead.
How dare you?
I'm so sorry.
No,
but I'm just thinking that it's like, I think it's a really well done movie. It started off with which was great because they were kind of playing off the back of like the late 2000s, early 2010s, like just incredibly terrible tropes of characters and horror films. And I was just like, when I first saw it, like when I remember sitting down for the first time and watching it, I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be a bunch of like frat guys and like some really scantily clad women going into the woods. And then the moment that the story hits, I'm like, this is it. This is what I want. This is what I fucking. And then the entire like lab scene when they open the gates, I'm like, this is magical. And also seeing this, like the actual like effects that they did in the film, and knowing that like they built a fucking half a unicorn to stab someone, I'm like, this is it. I fucking love this film from start to finish now, knowing all of the ins and outs of the film. So yeah, I would definitely, I don't know what you guys think, but I thought this was a good segue because it was about comedy horror and there's a cabin. So
there's a cabin. I agree with you.
I like Cabin in the Woods. I think it's the first half of the movie is definitely that kind of setting up horror aspect, and it kind of halfway through, if you remember the big reveal, that it's a little bit more of a comedy than anything. Yeah, I think that reveal was really well done. I think once the reveal is done and we start getting into more of like the comedy mixed with the horror tropes, I think that's really cool. In a way, very much a celebration of horror in a way, where like we kind of just take those tropes and we kind of use them, but we also kind of recognize them, how dumb they are, but like we like them. They're tropes for a reason. They're tropes because we like to see those in movies. But yeah, no, I agree. I think Cabin in the Woods is still an A.
I
on
also
that
just
thing.
realized that this is essentially my type of movie because it talks so much about the lore of horror films, and I fucking love lore. So, like, the
Yeah.
idea that they have just like these like small cabinets of like just reminiscent pieces of different horror movies and tropes and like future horror, and I'm just like, this is brilliant. I fucking love
I
it.
think it's perfect that we bring this up now during the Evil Dead discussion because Cabin of the Woods, Evil Dead created this concept for the most
Yeah.
part.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that it's definitely in this conversation of like, yeah, it took that level of, genre of the horror franchise and then just totally turn it upside down, which I love the poster for.
Yeah.
The poster of the
Is Cabin
room
Fever on
turning
this list? We might as well throw that up if it's on this list
Cabin
somewhere.
Fever is not on this list, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I've
Okay.
watched it not that long ago, and it does not hold up.
It doesn't hold up. It's a terrible movie. But I was like, on the topic of cabins, if it's on the list, it should probably be up.
Wait,
Talked about.
You
right
know
now,
what?
but it's not.
There is a Eli Roth movie on this list, so we could talk about that right now. If I just saw it, where'd it go?
Is it Hostel?
It's Hostel. Let's talk about Hostel really quick. Have we all seen Hostel?
Yes, very much a long time ago. This is around when Saw came out, if I remember correctly.
This came out just a little bit before because I remember it came around the time, which, God, that fucking entire time. Yeah, there was Yeah, it was Hostel. It was Hostel and Saw because,
and
like,
Saw.
right in the middle of it, there's fucking the human centipede, and I
Yes,
remember that
yes.
very vividly because that came out when I was in school. I'm not saying what year because fuck you guys, I'm not dating myself. But yeah, no, it was. I remember that entire like combination.
Yeah.
I this movie is just Terrifier, but made in 2008, I want to say.
2006-ish. I remember being just into high school, I think. And I remember this was definitely one of those like, 2005.
2005. Wow.
Yeah, so I was
wow.
15.
Okay. Yeah. Because
Really?
I remember the
Yeah.
marketing campaign for this because they used a very similar marketing campaign to, I believe, Dead Space, where they just had like people reacting to like footage of it, and they were just like, "It's like the most grotesque movie of our era." So shit like that, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what made people want to go see it because they just want to see a bunch of gore and shit. But I don't know. I don't know where you would put this on the list because
I'm gonna put it. I have it at D right now, personally because it's not something that I followed up with years later. There are elements of it that I do still appreciate. There's actually a scene in the movie that I think is more terrifying than anything that is actually gory, and that is the scene where our victim, Jay Hernandez, is trying to escape, and he has to pretend to be like one of the guys doing the torturing, and he bumps into another American, and the American is paying money to do these acts like it's something that he's excited for, and how fucking creepy that is. Still probably one of the more scariest concepts of someone willing to pay money to torture other people. I think that captured a lot. The movie is just drugs and boobs for the most part until you get to the
Eli Roth
gory
film.
parts. It's an Eli Roth movie for sure. I remember.
I'm actually kind of cool with it staying at D tier, by the way.
Yeah, I think that's a great spot, honestly, for it. Personally.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like just like with Cannibal Holocaust. I don't necessarily think it's a bad movie.
Yeah,
but I don't necessarily like it very much. Like it's all right. Like it's not a movie that I necessarily want to go back and watch. So
yeah, it's had sequels, but like nothing to me is like, hey, I need to go see Hostel right now. You know?
Yeah.
Let's fix this Evil Dead situation here. Are we cool with Evil Dead being Army of Darkness being B tier?
I personally think it's a B movie.
Okay.
But in terms of like the ranking of like, I still think Evil Dead 2 is just up there. Evil Dead, even though it's the first movie, and granted, I think that because Evil Dead 2 exists, that Evil Dead 1 is a step down compared to it because of it had the baseline, but Evil Dead going far above and beyond. To me, that's why it's the top tier. So, and Evil Dead is not better than Army of Darkness by a long shot. Army of Darkness is fantastic. So
Army of Darkness is fantastic once you know, as long as you know what you're getting into with it.
Yes. Yeah. Even if it's like the weird like cut down version of the movie recap in the beginning is still fun. Like, you can watch Army of Darkness and not have seen the other movies. Personally, it does help, and all the movies are essentially reboots of each other, anyways. But if I had to play it out, I would say B personally.
Okay, that's fair.
Again, we'll fluctuate once we discover more of this list.
All right, let's throw some more movies on this list.
All right, who?
Mario, you choose.
Me choose.
Yeah, throw some movies up.
Why
don't you pick 2 films? 2 films, just throw them in a spot and tell us why.
Oh, you know what? Fucking perfect. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say Dawn of the Dead, the original, is better than Dawn of the Dead, the remake, but the remake is not bad.
The remake is not bad. The remake is actually pretty decent.
Zack Snyder's like breakout movie.
Along his best movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably his best, to be honest with you. Watchmen is obviously an achievement, but I will say that Watchmen misses the mark in a lot of ways. But
there is some stuff with the Watchmen. Like if he went this way instead of that way, like it would have been perfect.
Yeah, for sure. But in terms of just a movie that I think about, I want to consume, I want to be in, Dawn of the Dead, the original, is actually kind of up there. Just in terms of the soundtrack done by, I believe it's done by Goblin, which is a prolific score group that is incredible.
And if I'm correct, the effects done by Tom Savini.
Tom Savini, who's in this movie. This is probably the first time you see him as like a character. I think this is his first movie, actually, if I'm not mistaken. He's like really hella young in this.
Yeah, he's a biker in this one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he plays a biker. There are definitely things that I do like about the Dawn of the Dead remake. Specifically, it is the fast zombies. It is taking the concept of being in a mall in a sort of like, hey, you're in the one place in the world where everything is at this time, and the consumerism of it all. I think that was a lot of fun. There are things in it that I don't like for instance, the way they handle the baby stuff is a little weird.
Yeah, baby stuff's a little weird.
Yeah, but ultimately, like, the resolution of, I think his name is CJ. He's the he plays if you ever watch House of Cards, he's on House of Cards. He's the guy with the mustache.
Will Stamper.
Yeah, Stamper. You're right. That's it.
The Stamper.
Yeah, Stamper. Where he's an asshole right at the beginning of the movie, and then end of the movie, he is the fucking hero. He sacrifices himself for everybody, and without his help, they wouldn't be able to make it.
Yeah, and they have really cool little moments in that. Like there's 2 moments that really stick out to me in this film. It was the one where they had the 2 people who are sitting on the roof, the snipers, who just talk to each other. Oh, actually, no, they don't even talk to each other. They have 2 things that they just like binocular in with, and they just like they hold up like a little fucking like whiteboard to talk to each other. And it's just like people, it's that thing of like people looking for any kind of just like connection with another person. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're playing like chess and stuff like that this way and everything like that. And then they have that, like, that scene where they're like, oh, fuck it, we're going over there to go get them. So they can bring them here. And then the Down with the Sickness remake kind of thing, like montage of just these people living through, what their day-to-day lives look like. And you can just see how, it's cool now, but this is not something that's going to last, because they're finding new things within the mall to kind of occupy their time, but eventually they're going to get bored of it, and eventually everything's just going to be more claustrophobic. But you start to see that throughout like the days as that the music kicks up and kicks in. There's really good stuff in this compared to the original, but the original always had that eerie atmosphere to it that, like, you never felt safe, whereas in Dawn of the Dead you always felt safe because you have like 500 zombies outside of a mall not getting in at all, so they'll probably be fine as long as they don't open a door.
Yeah, it's not, and again, it's another one of those like outsiders come in to ruin everything for everybody else. And I just love the fact that there's just a bunch of bikers. I think that's also fun. But the other major thing is one of the most craziest scenes I remember watching as a kid. It's weird. I experience horror movies in an interesting way where they obviously were shown to me, but I feel like people that showed me the movies didn't understand the context of what the movies were actually about. Like, for instance, even Night of the Living Dead, like having your main character be this African American male who gets shot at the end by these white like there's symbolism there, and that happens in this movie too when the police officers are going into a low income housing and just fucking going crazy and shooting everybody. Just like there's one guy that just goes ham, doesn't even care if they're like any of the undead, and just starts wailing on people. There's like an amazing effect shot of like someone's head just getting exploded, and you don't even know if that person was a zombie or not. And I think that definitely as a kid left an impression on me, seeing like, wow, that's really fucked up. And that's why I think Dawn of the Dead has always, all the entire Dead series has honestly always been about that sort of like, it's a zombie movie, it's a horror movie, but it's also the horror of life sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's why I put it at A versus B. Because I do think they're great movies.
Also, funny enough, if you're ever a kid who grew up on Comcast or any of those other kind of cable stations and stuff like that, also the hardest one to find on cable. Because it was either Return of the Living Dead, Night of the Living Dead, or the remake Dawn of the Dead. You never got the original. It was almost impossible. I remember for years, every time I saw Dawn of the Dead come up, and this is before like I started torrenting and stuff like that, you couldn't find it. Like every time I see it on like Comcast, you'd be like, "Oh shit, it's Dawn of the Dead." You turn it on, and this is before they started putting like Dawn of the Dead 2008 or something like that, right? Yeah. So that you turn it on and it's like, oh, it's the remake. Shit. All right, well, I've already seen that. Very hard movie to find, unless you obviously went to like a video store and got it that way.
No, for sure.
Yeah. I can't say that I've seen, I will admit, I haven't seen the original Dawn of the Dead. I like my first, honestly, my first like experience of it was because like when I was getting into like some of these types of films, one, a lot of them were obviously way before my time, and two, like when I was getting into it, I was just like, there's so much other zombie content for me to kind of consume. Mind you, that is very like naive of me to think. Don't come at me. But it's one of those movies that I would definitely put like I need to watch. Especially since my dislike or overwhelming feeling of zombie content has subsided just a little bit, just because it was almost disgustingly overwhelming for a little bit. Like there was just so much, it was everywhere.
It was fucking everywhere.
And so yeah, I wasn't really interested. I definitely like I saw it like constantly like popping all over the place, and that's why I ended up at one point watching 28 Days Later, but that was way like a number of years after, and it was also around the time of the resurgence of zombie content. So no, it's definitely on my I need to watch it ASAP. I watched a little bit of the kill count of it from last year. And I was very like, I stopped it because I'm like, I would love to watch this. And it was one of those things where I'm like, I'm going to wait until October next year. And then October came and I don't know where October went. So it's definitely
What's
a movie.
October?
What is October?
What is October? This is just a fucking time vacuum. I feel like October just started.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm spending a little bit, like I'm spending quite a bit of my time in like November. I'm already prepping. Like November is going to be like October part 2 for me, where I'm just going to watch a number of horror films. Usually I like to kind of like wait a little bit. There are some throughout the year I'll definitely watch, but this was definitely I want to wait until spooky season. And so yeah, those are definitely on my top list. I'll probably watch them in the next coming week and give everyone my thoughts about it on our next podcast.
Okay.
But I agree with being A and B because they were prolific. Just saying.
Fee, how about you pick one on this list here? I'm going to go ahead and put it on the screen. What would you like to go next?
Just take 2 of them. Put them up there.
Yeah, take 2. Why not?
Yeah, just put them up there.
2.
I'm putting ones I have a feeling we've not seen. I'm just throwing them in the need to see.
Not seen Shiver, so you're out the money.
I've not seen Shiver, no.
The fuck is a Shiver?
Control 2, probably.
Oh, you put The Vanishing there?
I've not seen.
Oh, have you seen The Vanishing?
No,
Okay.
I have not seen The
Okay,
Vanishing.
don't do that.
Let me just see here. You know what? I'm going to select Suspiria for 100, Alex.
The original? Ooh. Is the remake on here? No. Okay, cool.
No, that's why I'm a little bit upset. Because honestly, the remake doesn't hit the same way, but it definitely it stands. I'm I'm overwhelmed. Because there's so many options. No, I thought that the score of the latest, like the remake, was really well done. They did have some mentions of the original. But yeah, it hit hard. If you've seen it, especially at the end, where everything starts unraveling, because a lot of people do have an issue with Suspiria being a little bit slow paced at the beginning, and then things kind of go crazy. I would say B, just because
it's another goblin score.
I'm watching. Yeah, I liked it. The score was fantastic. I still listen to the score from the latest one all the time because the music's just, it's eerie, but also it's so good. It's so good. Radiohead's great, but like that entire score was really well done.
Very good. Especially the scenes that they're listening to, yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. There were definitely some parts that just kind of threw me for a loop. That was the best way to put that one. But putting them into the same type of, like, I guess the way that I think about it, I like to combine them both because there's so many different elements, especially with the latest version. I saw the latest version. Where did I watch it? Oh, Kaylee streamed it. Kaylee streams Suspiria through Amazon Prime on Twitch, and I was dumbfounded how that was even allowed. Because
what even happens in Suspiria? I completely forgot this movie.
The remake or the original? Have you seen the original?
Original. Let's go with the original. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to remember.
The original,
I don't remember if I've seen this one.
The original is more of like a tone piece, to be honest with you. It's not a very sensical story, but it does still follow this dance school, and it's basically in control by witches. There is Mother Superior, and shit happens. Ultimately, it's really just a mood and vibe, colors, and this sort of incredibly intense goblin score, which ultimately... the dancers are getting picked off one by one. They're being succumbed by, I guess, the witches until the final scene, which is very different from the remake. The remake is very, very of a different movie. And there's two other sequels actually as well.
Yes.
Inferno, I think is what it's called, and something else. Mother's Tears or something.
I forget the other one.
Yeah, but it's really just one of those movies where like you put that in the background and you're really just there for the vibe. You're honestly there for the walk.
I don't necessarily remember this movie, so I don't think I've seen it.
Got it.
Fair.
I do agree.
So I trust your judgment where you want to put it.
If you put the trailer on and just listen to the music, I think they'd be like, damn, I'll check this out. But I will say Suspiria, the remake, did a better job of giving life to a story that if it continued in some way, I would be interested in. But I don't know if they will make sequels like they do with the original.
Yeah, I feel like the original was just a little bit too obscure to the point that some of the actresses couldn't even communicate with each other. Fun fact. Because some of them spoke German, some of them spoke Italian, some of them spoke French, and none of them knew how to speak their own each other's languages.
Yeah.
So some of them just didn't understand each other. But I definitely agree with Mario. It's definitely a like color experience. Like it's very much like there's different tones for the different characters. And just the unnerving idea, like where did that particular dancer go? It was a little bit awkward at the beginning of the latest Suspiria, but no, it just has like it's a very mood type horror film, which is kind of something that sometimes it just hits different, is the best way to put it. I know I'm being very obscure because this is definitely one of those horror films that I don't want to spoil for anyone. But there's definitely some
Like if
chest opening experiences is the best way to put it.
Like specifically, I like that they toned down the color in the remake, but it definitely is a lot more of a visceral experience. While Suspiria, the original, there's a scene where a woman goes through a window and lands in barbed wire, and that's how she dies. Or someone kills her with a black knife and glove, which is very much like those Giallo films, those Italian Giallo films. So again, I think it's one of the, I think it's like closer in Dawn of the Dead, where it's like, or even I think it's closer actually to Night of the Living Dead, where it's like the first of it, one of the first of its like major things, and honestly just inspired a lot more down the road, which that is on this list, by the way. I did find it is here. I don't know if we have a preference.
I was just gonna quickly say, like, it almost has the same feel as like the Black Swan, which was like perfection over all else, and then just someone being driven to absolute insanity because of perfection. And also just like I'm just looking at one of the posters for it, and it's from the original, and it's one of the dancers, like she just is in white and then just blood coming off of her, and then it's just kind of like moving through. I'll post the image to you, I'll post it to you, Mario, because I don't want to like traumatize someone. So it's just like seeing that, it's just like, it's very beautiful. It's a very beautiful type of horror film. But it's very unnerving. I would definitely like for people who are interested.
I'm playing the music right now for a stream if they want to hear it. But it's just scary. Just that piano. Or not even piano, it's just like xylophone. It's I'll copy a link and then give it to you so you can check it out. But basically, goblin, terrifying goblin people. But you say B tier? I agree with you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Man, I'm listening to it now. Oh man.
Yeah, that's
God, Goblin, fucking amazing. Oh my.
Posting that in the general so you can see that. I threw in Night of the Living Dead. Like I said, progenitor, everything. It's dated.
It's dated. I agree. C tier.
C tier. Perfect. Boom.
Yeah,
drop it right there.
What do you think, Fee?
My apologies. What did you say? I got lost in Goblin.
Night of the Living Dead. Prolific. Super good, but also dated. C tier? Question mark.
C tier.
Yes.
C-tier. Exclamation mark.
Then.
Compared to the rest. Frank, pick some. Give me a couple.
Here, let me go ahead. Let's do Jeepers Creepers. I'm gonna put that in the let's put that in the D tier list. Really good movie in terms of just building atmosphere, but overall the scariest part is seeing Jason Long's eyes getting fucking gouged out.
I agree. Filmmaker withstanding, movie by itself, it was decent. It's a decent time, but definitely not something that I want to return to often. So, detail.
Its creepiest elements are its song and the ending scene.
Yes.
Moving on from that, unless Fee, do you object?
I got two.
Piece?
Go ahead. Yeah. Do you have anything to say about Jeepers Creepers?
I was just gonna say, fuck the director.
Fuck the director.
Fuck the director.
Yes. Gross. Ew. Anyways.
I would say E, because like.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's throw it in the E tier.
I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's not something, Yeah, I'd watch it.
Here's the thing. Everyone else on the film and crew, because here's the thing. Like, it's one of those problems where it's a person who is absolutely horrific and I do not, I despise. But there were people on the set and the cast who put their, all into that film. So I'm sorry, I still need to put it E.
Yeah. Sequel has
Leland Palmer in it, though. Leland Palmer is in that movie. Mario, I would say put the need to see ones at the top, so then because like nobody needs to see that. You know what I mean?
gotcha.
Nobody see how fucking bad we are.
That is fair.
But by the way, we should probably plan a watch party or something like that where we take some of these films out of this list and just put
Yeah.
it to a wheel and watch it.
I had another idea that I want to talk to you guys about after stream.
All right, we have ideas. We have ideas of what we want to do with the what haven't seen list. So
Yeah,
yeah, because some of those I'm like, you know what, fuck it, let's go ahead and watch those. But anyway, the second movie I picked is gonna be my absolutely hood classic, Scream.
Woo, baby!
Woohoo!
Let's fucking
go.
go!
Yeah, I go ahead and put that in the motherfucking E tier.
E tier? What'd you
say?
E tier?
I just
You
play.
bitch.
I just fucking with you.
I heard your E tier and I'm like, you fucking what? Why?
I think I legitimately think this is one of the more prolific horror movies out there, one of the iconic horror, because there's horror movies, right? And then there's horror movie icons. And these are the ones that are the most marketable, the most fun, the most like, you see them everywhere. You can't, we will forever, with our children's be wearing fucking Ghostface masks. Right, like it's something that will it's like a character in a franchise that will never die and will always seem to come back. I think it's more of an S tier for that.
I'll be right.
The original movie is great. It's it mixes that kind of teeny bopper and psycho killer thing. It's very much a whodunit because one of them is it, but you don't really know which one it could be. Yeah. It's great. I then the big reveal at the end is well done. Everything about this movie is just well done from its beginning to end. They don't really miss throughout it.
Yeah, it's one of those series where like, because there's an issue with horror where some just like don't do as well, like movie wise. And the first one for me also, just knowing and like listening to actually Drew Barrymore's autobiography, just knowing how much they publicized her for that movie, and then they're like, "Fuck you, we're killing her in the first 7 minutes." Yes. I'm just like, yes, this is what we fucking need. I want the shock and awe, and that was like, okay, we're doing this to Drew Barrymore, and oh my god.
Yeah,
I know that scene.
To top it off. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I know that scene still holds up because I tried to watch it with my friend Casey and they were like, turn the movie off. And I'm like, fair enough. We made it this far.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then my last closing argument on it for being an S-tier movie, fucking Ghostface gets absolutely beaten the fuck up in this film.
Yes, he does.
I don't know any other horror icon who gets absolutely fucked up as much as Ghostface does. Not including, obviously, but then we're not talking about the final scenes of those other icons where, like, yeah, they do eventually get fucked up. This is like a steady, like, almost every time there is a kill, it feels real unplanned. Like there is no plan. The plan was go in and kill. This dude has like absolutely no like plot armor because he just gets like shit thrown at him, glass broken on him, trips, falls, thrown down some stairs. Everything happens. And I kind of like that because it's not necessarily something you see happen to other horror icons leading up to this point. But I also picked this one because I know for an absolute fact this is one of Mario's favorite films.
Yes.
And I want to hear Mario gush about this now. Oh, why does Scream deserve an S tier rating?
Scream is just an incredible movie. Obviously, yes, you're absolutely right. Created a new horror icon that is now forever fucking sold every Halloween, which is crazy because that costume is not an original thing. That is something that a company already existed before the movie. And they were like, we can't make anything better. We're just going to use this as the outfit. And they just license it every time. So yeah, that's essentially the makings of, yes, a character that could be anybody. as well, and it makes every movie more fun because you have no idea who the killer is. It adds that clue element, which is a lot of fun. So it's both a murder whodunit slasher film, and yes, it's meta as hell. There's constantly different references to its own self that they constantly do throughout the films. There's obviously a connection to Kevin Smith in this as well, because Jay and Silent Bob are in 3 for no reason whatsoever. And then, of course, later in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, there is a Scream scene in that movie. So, yeah, no. Wes Craven, one of the masters of horror, all the way back from, like, Last House on the Left, all the way to Freddy Krueger, to then in the next decade create Scream. He's absolutely prolific and iconic for that. This is a series that is still going on to this day. Every movie, I'm absolutely terrified because I'm afraid that they're going to kill some of my favorite characters of all time. And yeah, we have another one coming in very, very, very soon. And I'm absolutely terrified again. So it's one of the only series where I have the most fun and scared for people.
Yeah, it also spawned arguably one of the greatest comedy parody movies of all time, Scary Movie 1.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can say what you will about the other sequels of Scary Movie. I think the first 2 are absolutely genius and fucking like perfect.
They're really great.
You can say what you will about 3, 4, 17, and 21.
Epic movie.
All these other ones. Yeah. But yeah, like just like the parallels in that and Scary Movie were really good. Yeah, I mean, Fee, do you think this movie deserves its S tier ranking?
Yes, absolutely I do. Holy crap, yes. Like I'm sorry. I was trying to find something, but I cannot seem to find it, so I'm gonna have to accept that. So no, it's really, oh my god. It's like you said, it spawned so much humor when it came to horror films, because I think it came in a time where a lot of people, like a lot of horror films were kind of like,
hey,
what?
Mertens is in the chat. Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Hello.
Hey.
Finger guns, because I can't emote.
No, I don't know. I love, as me putting freaking Cabin in the Woods up as an A tier. I love when horror films can kind of make a joke of themselves, but do it in a fantastic way. And when, obviously, I didn't see Scream when it first came out. Holy hell, if I was able to see that when I was very young, sure, by all means.
Blockbuster. That's how I've seen it. I've seen it as a child, and I was terrified.
I'm going to be honest. I saw Scream for the first time within the past, I think, like 5 or 6 years, because I wasn't allowed... Yeah, I wasn't allowed watching these films as a kid, and it kind of went under my radar. And I'm definitely I guess, a person who was created out of like mid 2000s to the 3D era of horror, which is a horrendous time. But we'll talk about that in a little bit here, because there are some that are on this list. But no, I think Scream is just fantastic. One of my favorite animes of all time, Jujutsu Kaisen, also kind of has the same premise, where it takes a character that they had in the opening for the first fucking 7 episodes, and then they're like, by the way, guess what? You know, this entire like opening where they're best friends? Once again, fuck you. This character dies. Not saying who, by the way, but a character like you... The person who made it, I'm just like, you guys obviously fucking watch Scream, because you got people pulling on heartstrings. You see people, like, you never usually see someone in the opening that are going to get brutally murdered like a few episodes in.
Not since the movie Psycho, where you are following the main girl as you think, and then midway through that movie, she's gone. Like, it's definitely it took that premise back in a huge bad way.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those arcs that you don't see very often, and then just like the entire premise of it, and then how it's a horror film that could easily be made today, and it still could be fantastic, because it's still the essence of Scream, and it's a person behind the mask, and you could do anything with it, which is fantastic. A lot of other horror films, you have to kind of stay in this like either some sort of like architect or like archetype, sorry, or you have to like do it. It almost feels as though the horror film has to be slightly linear. We see this quite a bit with a specific series that just recently ended with Halloween. But with Scream, it could be anything. Like it could be like, oh man, that person from fucking 30 years ago is now back. Or it could be like, oh my god, it's a brand new person. It's like the grandchild of the person who was original. Who knows? It could be the fucking boogeyman at this point.
Yeah.
But everyone could be like, fantastic. But yeah, did it spring some of the worst cinema with the 1 million versions. I think it's now like it ended at like 196. One of those oh my god, I can't even think of the movies now. You literally just mentioned them earlier.
The scary movies.
Yeah, scary movies.
Yeah. Epic movie, superhero movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I'm like I said, I say what you will about the other ones. The first two are right in my book. They're certified classics.
Yeah,
for
sure. I watched a scary movie not that long ago in preparation of watching Scream again, and it's eerily how similar the movies are and how much they just are literally the exact copy of each other. But it's still like really, really funny. I mean, we could talk about Scary Movie forever, but the one thing I did want to say is that post the 80s of like, you know, Voorhees, Michael Myers, and also Freddy Krueger, they're at the tail end of like their series being relevant and good, that it's not until Scream that we actually have a resurgence back into like good movies again. Because like the only other movie the only other horror movie like iconic ones I can think of are like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and even that fucking series shits the bed very quickly. So yeah, shout out the fucking Scream, man. Just shout out the fucking Scream.
Holds up to time.
And it's a 90s classic, man. It's a time
capsule. That's a 90s classic.
100%.
It's very soft. Yes. Everything is very like soft still. It's very soap opera-y kind of the way it looks, but like it's a good one, man.
So good.
It's a time capsule.
All right, I'm going to throw two on here because I think they're going to end up in the need to see list because I don't know if you guys have any history with these movies. But I'm going to throw in Hush and Creep.
Nope.
Have you seen any of these? Have you?
I want to say I don't know why Creep sounds familiar, but I know for a fact I've not seen Hush.
Okay. Creep is fucking. I'm going to start with Creep first. Creep is fucking awesome. It's about it's a found footage movie. It is about a filmmaker who was hired by this man to spend essentially the day with him documenting him because he tells him that he's dying of cancer. And he essentially tricks him to being his best friend.
We got a bot in chat.
Oh, we have a bot? Oh, kill that man.
Yeah.
Kill it.
Kill that man. Kill it with fire.
Here, hold on 1 second.
I don't know how to kill it with fire.
I can kill it. With fire.
Thank you.
And...
But I will find love through whatever means you're trying to sell us.
Report.
No.
Spam. Reports. Okay. And then delete. Okay,
perfect.
Boom.
Thank you.
Smash. If you guys are in the chat, I will make you monitors as well. So Frank, I'm gonna make you.
I'm here.
I'm gonna make you add your moderator.
Hey.
And then I'm gonna make Fee a moderator as well. Cool. So we can all hit those people. Creep, yeah. So it stars Mark Duplass, one of the Duplass brothers, in like one of the only horror movies that I think I've seen them in, honestly. But yeah, it's a really, and every step of the way, it just keeps increasingly getting uncomfortable and weird and awkward. And so at one moment he's wearing a wolf mask and he's just hiding around and scaring this guy. And it's all taking place, like I said, it's all taken place from the point of view of like a camera. And it is absolutely worth your time. They're very short movies. There is a great, man, I don't even want to spoil it. There is a sequel to this movie, and that's all I'll say. But yeah, in the same, you know what? You know how I'll describe it, Fee? It has a very, remember Inscription? Mm-hmm. And those vignettes, it has that kind of aesthetic and look.
Yeah.
And the ending of that is very nice and similar. So definitely recommend Creep if you've not seen it. I'm going to throw it in the need to see list here. The other movie I have here is Hush. Hush is a Mike Flanagan joint. If you've not seen Midnight Mass, that Haunting on Hill House, Bly Manor, Midnight Club, House of Usher, Doctor Sleep, this fucking Gerald's Game. This man is the new hotness. If you've not seen any of his work, he's done shit. This is one of his first movies. It stars his wife, and it's about a deaf woman who lives in a cabin in the woods, and there is a hunter fucking with her. And she obviously doesn't even know he's there for the most of the movie until it's being hunted. And it is fucked up. And I highly recommend it. It's another short banger that I definitely recommend. But I'll immediately throw that in the need to see list.
I just want to say I have seen Hush.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so we have a majority. Put it on the list.
All right, putting it on the list.
Where would you like to put that on the list, Mario?
See, when I think of Hush, I have to compare it to all of the other Michael Flanagan movies and TV shows. If I had to honestly, in comparison, I'm also comparing it to them. Fuck, man, this is hard. It's either between B or C. I'm going to say B or C. Fee, what are your thoughts on Hush?
I liked it mostly because it did have almost that element of like it being real, which is what I feel like a lot of horror films kind of go above and beyond that. The idea of not having a specific sense and that being used to your disadvantage, especially in this particular film.
Yeah.
Because the problem is, if I had to base this on another film that also uses sound as a horror element, we have A Quiet Place on this list, which is, I think, would be rated higher than Hush. Fuck.
Yeah.
That it's hard. Like, it's just
in my opinion, A Quiet Place, which is I think another film Frank has not seen.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty positive he hasn't seen it. It's obviously one of the newer joints.
Yeah.
Between Hush and A Quiet Place is definitely a better movie.
Yeah, no, for sure.
For sure. But where, in terms of Hush being on the list, I would even say this is what I would put. I would say here, personally.
Okay, and 1 second here. I have to see what yours is.
I put Hush in C, and I put A Quiet Place at A.
I agree. I just want to say, can we move Hush to like the very top of the C list?
Yeah.
Because I think it's it's very well done. It's one of those films that I would highly recommend people seeing. It's very unnerving. Because the idea that someone is just there.
Yeah.
And there's no bells and whistles to it. Like a lot of films, and by the way, I'm not shitting on horror films that use a not magical, but like an essence of like uneasiness. It's just, this is incredibly realistic.
Yeah.
Because this could happen. Which is absolutely terrifying. And so I would agree with A Quiet Place being at A. I would say Hush is a very high C. There are definitely some aspects that I think moves it down just a little bit. Pacing wise. But overall really good film. And I have to go rewatch it. It's one of those things where it's just like there's definitely elements in my brain that it's just like this is a very much remembering the film, and then there's other aspects you remember, like you understand, like there's a few aspects that I'm just like, what happened at this point? Like I remember like point A, and I understand where point like D is, but what happened between these two sections? So that's where I'm currently at. I will let you know when it comes to Creep. I'm gonna be honest. I was looking at photos of it right now, and I do
Yeah,
see the
the werewolf.
wolf helm.
Yeah.
But there's a specific one where he's like smiling and looking at the camera. And do you know what that reminds me of?
What?
And I brought, as a heads up, I don't have this memorized. I specifically brought this up for this section because it just reminds me so much. My name is Nathan Fielder, and I graduated from one of Canada's top business schools with a really good grades. Now I'm using my knowledge to help struggling small business owners make it in this competitive world. Like seriously, he looks like Nathan Fielder, and I will not be able to watch that film because he looks like Nathan Fielder.
Well, it definitely would be. There's a great scene where he's doing an interview with him, but he's taking a
Yeah.
bath. And he's fucking naked. And it's just really bizarre. Really bizarre.
Oh my
Definitely recommend it though. It's the title is the title. It's a very creepy movie.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna agree with you on
Yeah.
A Quiet Place being at A. I don't think there's a whole lot need to be said. I think it's a very fantastic, well done film front to back. I do agree with Mertens in the chat, which says A Quiet Place is a better theater experience. Hush is a better thriller. I do agree with that. But at the same time, if I had to pick one versus the other, I think I would watch A Quiet Place again. I have not seen the sequel, which I did want to do as like a double feature. But if in my mind, Quiet Place still pretty high up there. That birth scene is terrifying. I can only imagine the pain, especially stepping on a nail at the same time. There's a whole lot going on.
Oh my god. And we even like got into a very like almost heated discussion at one point. I think it was either on a podcast or Frank and I got into it, not on a podcast, but the premise of like birth in a horror film or the reason for a horror film to be pushed.
Yeah.
Not about it. Like that's
not about that life.
Not about that life.
Yeah, we've had discussion when we were talking about Silent Hill and Forced Birth.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Silent Hill.
Right.
Where should that go on the list, everybody?
Boop. Boop.
Where did we put it? I think E tier.
It's not a movie that again, there are fans of the games, and I am not one of them. But
I'd argue for D. I don't think it's necessarily the worst movie. They do a good enough job.
I can tell you, Silent Hill the movie is not the worst thing in the entire series.
I agree.
I would probably say in the series guys.
I watched it not that long ago. I agree with you. It's not a bad movie for the most part, you know?
Yeah, I would say D.
Okay.
And that's being nice. Because for some context, everybody, and I was gonna wait until we got into the podcast to talk about this. I spent 2.5 hours of my life back to back, like literally. I sat down and I watched an entire lore list and background of Silent Hill, and holy fuck, it was not worth it. I'm never getting that time back. It is, and I love Frank's reaction to it was, "Oh fuck, Fee, you like lore. Good luck." And I was just like, "No shit, Sherlock."
Yeah, good luck.
It was so bad.
Lord.
Like, there is so much, and I've never seen a horror film so driven to make women birth things, and I am not okay with it. That movie, yeah, it's above and beyond. It is not only in the games, it's mentioned in the movie, it is mentioned in the comics, which apparently some of them are not considered like canon, but they still put them on the lore list anyway. And it's very unnerving. But quite honestly, I was looking around my room because I actually have a painting that I did of that specific poster that I did. I did a watercolor painting for a school project because I'm like, I loved it. Artistically, I went through a whole phase where I was just like, no one needs to have a face. Which I found out was incredibly horrifying, and a lot of people did not like that. So I didn't stay with it. But it was at the time I thought it was like a good film. There were definitely there was other game related horror films coming out at the time, and I was just like, this is pretty decent. For not someone who has played Silent Hill at that time, I was young, naive, and I had not played any of the Silent Hill games. And to this day, the only experience I have is PT. Take that as you will.
My 2 cents, real quick.
Yeah.
There's no fucking reason for the cop to get brutally murdered in this movie. That pissed me off. The Laurie Holden character, who is like the detective that chases the woman into Silent Hill, and then she gets like sacrificed on fire, and that's just it. That's the end of that character. Like, no, oh, that fucked me up. Still, that still fucks me up, grand. But yeah, I don't know. I don't hate this movie. As you know, people that love Silent Hill, I'm sure that there's some aspects of that that's cool to see in live action. I know one Silent Hill fan is upset about the movie because it made everyone think that Pyramid Head, or whatever the other name is called, is jacked in the movie when like apparently he's not jacked in the video games. But
he's kind of jacked in Silent Hill too. He's got muscles.
But he's not like slender, not like a dude like fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like fucking.
I mean,
I was definitely not Schwarzenegger.
I was not complaining that he was jacked in the movie.
Oh, there you go.
Just saying. Not upset. After learning about the fact how much they did not use Pyramid Head in the games, good luck with that one, because he was a wasted character. It is explained. Is it? Oh, I don't. It blended together after a little bit. Oh, it was Homecoming where they had Pyramid Head. He pretty big character in that one. The rest of it, he was essentially
multiple
just
Pyramid Heads, if I remember correctly. In
there was 2/3. But no, it was it was randomly used. Like, he's considered a judge.
360. This is a 360 era game.
Yeah, I just used continuously. And it was weird. I don't know.
All right.
Silent Hill the movie,
D-tier. D
definitely D tier. We're gonna leave it at that.
Yeah,
We'll go into Silent Hill deep dive some other day.
Frank, pick us 2 more. Pick us 2 more.
All right. I'm gonna pick 2 that I actually really like. Let's take Saw.
Okay.
First. Saw. I love Saw. Saw is one of those movies where it spawned a franchise of 30 fucking other sequels, each with their own unique kind of, you might like it, you might not like it. Though when it comes to Saw, I say Saw is an A-tier movie. It's not necessarily the iconic one, but its first movie is one of those movies that showed me like, hey, there are these little things throughout films that might give you clues to the ending. And the way that this movie unravels its mysteries and its twists and its turns, it's so fucking well done. The game that Jigsaw plays with these people and how obvious it is at the end of the film, as opposed to when it is in the beginning, where like when you rewatch it, you're like, oh shit, that's why that happens. That's why this happens. You know, the way the traps work and everything. Great twist, like at the end, like it is one of those movies where you don't know what you're getting into, but you know you're not going to be able to predict anything of it. It is not a movie. The reason why I don't think it's perfect is because it's not a very good rewatchable movie. It is a movie where once you know the twists, it kind of loses its glamour a little bit. You lose that original kind of like dopamine rush you get at the end where everything kind of clicks for you.
Yeah.
Just play the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, like I like it. I think it's really good. I don't think it's a very watchable movie. Therefore, I don't think it's the most perfect movie. I don't think it deserves that S tier status, but it definitely deserves recognition at the A tier. Unless you guys disagree.
What do you think, Mario?
I'm looking at this list again, the A tiers, and I'm just gonna start rearranging things here. When I think of A tier, especially when I'm also looking at B tier, I'm looking at movies that like I would rather watch again. And I think Frank, you hit the nail on the head. Now, granted, I was thinking the same thing too when you were talking about Saw, but as I was thinking it, I was like, that's the same argument I could have about fucking Scream, because Scream is the same thing where it's like once you know the person at the end, it's like it does lose a little bit of that luster. However, I will say I think the movie is still far more entertaining as itself, as a watch, than I would say Saw personally. So that's the only difference why this is S tier and A tier. Granted, Saw is a movie I've not seen in years. So I bet though if I watched it now, I might still have in regard, because my mind of Saw is, as you were saying, it's the later half. It's tainted by the later half. That if I watched the original, I just remember how simple it was back in the day, and just having a simple premise and a really amazing twist. And I'm really curious, like how I do feel about that. I'm thinking about A and B on what would I rather watch, and I think I would rather watch either Army of Darkness. Well, Army of Darkness, I 100%. But besides that, I think I would rather watch Dawn of the Dead 28 Days Later than I would watch Saw again. This is why I moved Texas Chainsaw kind of down here too, because I'm like, I don't necessarily need to see this again for another 5-10 years. I don't know. I'm cool with it being at A for now, personally, because it's James Wan. You know, James Wan is James Wan. He's another one of those, like every single decade that has passed, he's somehow reinvented himself in different ways. It being this movie, it being the Conjuring franchise, which is pretty huge, as well as now being Aquaman. Meanwhile, now that we said James Wan's name and we summoned him, have either of you seen, oh my God, where is it? This list keeps changing. Here it is. Dead Silence.
I have.
Yeah.
Fucking this movie's awesome.
I don't know why. I randomly like watched it like 4 times within a few month period, because there was like it was one of those, it was like an onion to me. The more you watched it, the more random shit you found in the movie. And I'm just like, holy fuck. Like this is, and I remember trying to get my sister to watch it, and she's like, why are you trying to get me to watch this? And I'm like, because this is really good. And she's like, I don't even like horror films. And I'm like, it's an experience.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand. I also fucking hate dolls.
Dolls
with
suck.
a burning passion.
Dolls suck.
Dolls, fuck you. Fuck dolls. But I don't know. It just hit different. I don't know.
It hits different.
Shit hit different.
It hits different. Especially, my favorite scene is when Donnie Wahlberg is falling and then he's screaming, but then he catches his scream because he knows. Oh God, so fucking good. I will say a twist ending that does not make sense to me.
Yeah.
But the imagery of someone holding this guy as a puppet is fucking absolutely terrifying in my mind. But yeah, I threw it right at B because I will watch this movie any day of the week. But it's also,
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's so bonkers and weird and has its own like flavor to it that's why I'm like immediately I had to throw it on this list once I saw it was one of these movies. But yeah. But back to Saw.
I do have my So Saw, I think unless you guys think it shouldn't be at A tier, I do have another film in mind already.
Go ahead and pick another. I do think we could leave it at A for now.
Yeah, I'm gonna choose Get Out.
You seen it?
Yeah, you should. We watched it together.
I don't fuck, man.
Yeah, we were hyper stoned when we watched this movie. By the way,
fucking hell. Okay.
But yeah, I love this film. I think it's really well done. It's another one of those where I hate to keep saying it. I fucking love atmospheric horror, and this movie does it every fucking time. The way people move, the mannerisms of people. The music, the use of just straight silence, the shots of just people's faces. Yeah, it is one of those movies where it's just there's not necessarily a very scary, grotesque thing on screen 20 or 90% of the time. It is literally just pure what's going on and where they are. That's like totally terrifying. Like, and even then, just like its opening intro, the like run rabbit, like intro, that's fucking still creeps me out because like
Yes.
I walk through a suburb area and now I'm creeped the fuck out. And if this movie can do that, who knows, right?
This is
Um,
oh man, there's so much to say about this movie, but
Great acting, by the
Yeah.
way, amazing acting in this movie. Um, it's just it's so good. It's so fucking good. I'm also I wouldn't necessarily say S tier, but that's another one I'm gonna put in the A tier category. Unless somebody disagrees with me.
I would honestly probably push it.
Push
I'm
it S
gonna be
tier.
honest because I'm gonna. By the way, if at any point in the future Jordan Peele ends up watching this, I just want to say, I'm sorry for what I'm about to say.
Oh.
I was thinking this guy was a comedian and that was it. I was just
Yeah.
like, I'm just like, I watched fucking Key and Peele. I thought it was hilarious.
I watch
And
Mad
I'm just
TV.
like, okay, yeah. And I was just under the impression, I'm just like, oh, like one, I was upset that they ended. I was just like, this is really like, they're at their peak. Why are they can't like ending this? And then he was just like coming out with Get Out, and I'm like, is this gonna be like? I'm slightly concerned because of how funny he was. Then I'm just like, I don't know what this is, and obviously none of us knew what Get Out was gonna be. And then when I saw it, I'm like, fuck you, Jordan Peele. Like this is fucking insane. And then like his movies after that, I can't wait to go see Nope. Like I just like it's I phenomenal. Like what a fucking like so good. And it was just like
really well done. And just
so
in case
well
and then just in case if Jordan Peele, if you're ever watching this, free the titty, Jordan Peele, get it out. Anyway.
Thank you,
and
Zach
I
Fox.
said, bitch.
I said, bitch. Get Out is, I remember seeing it in a packed theater in the best crowd possible. And this is one of those movies that puts you in someone else's experience in a way I've never seen before. Because I am a white passing Italian / Hispanic person. I don't have the same experience as black people do living in the day-to-day lives.
Exactly.
But I will tell you, when the ending happens and you see the police lights and you already know
a white cop steps out,
what's going to happen. And when the movie subverts your expectations, it's one of the best releases. The crowd fucking loses their mind when they show, I think it's Rel shows up. It's still one of the most like, yeah, I'm gonna go S tier.
I'm going S tier.
Yeah, I could see it.
I'll give it S tier.
Like I said, some parts of it I don't think are perfect, but I could see it as an S tier.
Is it my favorite out of the 3 movies? No, it isn't. I love Us. I think Us is really good. Nope, also fantastic, but more of a Spielberg movie. But yeah, I'll throw it at S tier right now because it was a homecoming party of like, oh hey, no, he belongs in horror, and he can tell a story that fits the time in the same way that I would say George Romero does. So yeah, I'll throw him an S tier. It
was for the like at the time it was really like it was a movie that needed to be made, and it definitely like was eye-opening for sure as someone who is insanely white.
Quote of the night: insanely white.
Yeah.
Man, I wish this had. I can clip that out. Give me 1 second.
Don't clip that out. Oh my god.
Would I set a marker? I'm just kidding. Continue.
No, oh my god. It's like you said, it's when you're sitting in someone else's specific story and then you're just like, oh my god. Whoa. Like the entire time I was just sitting there like, oh my god. Oh my god. And then it was just like just consistently like that. And by the way, phenomenal movie. I agree. I loved Us. Us was just a whole other trip. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, I'm kind of slightly upset that that's not on this list.
I know, a little bit.
A little bit. But no, highly well done. Like incredibly well done. And that's why I wanted to put it to S tier. I think A tier is definitely, obviously, a lot of my choices are at the A
Yes.
list. But no, Get Out's just eye opening.
It's a goodie. It's a good one.
So good, so good.
All right, you gave us Saw and
Get Out.
Get Out, and then you did Silent Hill. Did you do the second one?
No,
Who, me?
mine
Yeah.
mine was Get Out.
Yours
Get
was
Out
Get Out.
and
I meant her. Did she do another one? She did Silent Hill. Did she do anything? You want to do another one? Do another one. Do another two.
Okay. Phew. Let's see here. You know what? Let's go with The Thing.
Ooh. Where are you putting this? Because
that's tough.
there's not a whole lot of John Carpenter in this list. I noticed. I see a few things. Okay.
I would say like the highest of B.
Really?
Mostly because here's the thing. The premise of the film for me, phenomenal. Like the idea where they're in the middle of like they're isolated, there's no one there to save them. And when the people do come and save them, they're like, you remember this pathogen? By all means, this is leaving this area and we're taking it with us. Oh god. It's the body horror for me. I'm not a huge body horror fan. I'm like flip-flopping. This is where it's like I'm looking at the list and thinking to myself like, okay, I definitely would want to watch Cabin in the Woods again.
Yeah.
I would definitely want to see A Quiet Place again. I can watch it a few more times. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I will admit, I'm not watching that movie again. But Saw just throw that down there. Saw, by all means. The Thing, you know what? I'm gonna push it to A, mostly because I like the board game.
Thank
you. It was a good board game.
This is One Night in Werewolf. You know, it's literally the premise of One Night in Werewolf.
There is a board game for The Thing. It's literally the board game. It's freaking hilarious. But no, I think it's one of those things where it's just like, well, fuck. And I appreciate the fact that it's very much like, guess what? Global warming, definitely a fucking thing. You want to like start digging into places where you shouldn't be and fucking around with things that you shouldn't be, abso-fucking-lutely. But then, by the way, it's gonna fuck you up. There's some really hilarious TikTokers that are very much like, put that shit back. Like, there's just like these people that are like, guess what I found in my house? I found this like straw made person with like some chains around it. No. And then there's this, and the woman's just like, put that shit back, put that back, seal it up, sell the house, leave, do not stay in that house. And that's how I kind of felt about The Thing. I'm just like, put that shit back where it came from and just shove it back into the ice and leave it. Like, oh my god. And the entire premise is that it's just like, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
Literally anybody.
What's wild too is The Thing also spawned a lot of really cool game modes in video games. We wouldn't have Among Us without The Thing, I would think.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have Trouble in Terrorist Town if you've ever played that. Stuff like that. Like the imposter within the group of people and you having to solve who is the one there while that person is also trying to infect more people to be a part of their cause. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't have those cool kind of like imposter games without The Thing.
Fucking A. We also Kurt Russell, John Carpenter, Keith David,
Keith motherfucking David is in this movie.
Fucking Burl. This movie is fucking an incredible film. Just on the fact that all those aspects, the effects are on a whole other level that still can't be rivaled to most movies. There's the chest opening scene that is absolutely the scariest thing I can imagine it, and I'm terrified thinking about it. I'll let it sit at A tier. But man, there's an argument for S tier. But you know what? We have a lot more movies to get through. So
let's up the ante here.
All right,
three films.
Okay.
You're welcome to summarize it. You're welcome to ask questions if this is one that you want to think. But otherwise, throw it where you want to. And if you want us to object, just ask.
Real quick, I'm gonna throw 3 on here that are I'm gonna say are movies that maybe we haven't seen. And that is this one, which is Into the Night, I think. I don't even know what the fucking name of this movie. It's that one that came out not that long ago. I have not seen it. I know that it came out.
Not either.
All right, so that's probably going to go in the not one. Has any of us actually seen the original Ringu?
Ringu? That's the Ring. The Japanese version one, right?
Yeah. And
I know I've seen it. I just don't remember anything that happens.
Same. I would put it an F because it's been too fucking long.
All right. And then the Grudge, the Japanese Grudge.
I've not seen a Japanese Grudge.
I saw it too long ago for me to make any comments, so just put it an F.
I'll put him in the need to see.
Cool. Sorry, I keep on forgetting that F is need to see.
Yeah.
I will preface by saying I don't really like ghost movies all that much, to be honest with you. Ghosts, I think, are fucking silly, but like sometimes they do it really good. It's just they're just not on my radar in terms of horror.
Ghosts are fucking silly.
But feel free to throw some more that we probably haven't seen. What's that last film on the list? There,
this is Amityville Horror movie. Amityville Horror.
Oh yeah, we see that. Okay.
Creature of the Black Lagoon. I mean, I don't think it needs to be on this list personally. It's a classic for what it is, but it's not something that I think that we will watch regularly. Frankenstein, another classic. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if we would.
I don't think it's this type of list that it should be on, because that's a horror classic, but not necessarily like I wouldn't be like, oh man, we need to see this movie right now. If we did
Universal horror movie like tier list, then yeah, I'm fucking ready to fight. But right now, I'm not personally.
Yeah.
Hills Have Eyes. Have you seen the original?
I didn't even know. Wait, so the other one's a remake?
Yes, the newer one's a remake.
Okay, yeah. I've not seen the original. Then I didn't even know there was an original.
Because it's Frank. Actually, you would in the background of Evil Dead 1. There's a poster for this movie, and then
really?
Evil Dead 2 is in Nightmare on Elm Street, and then there's a Freddy glove in that movie as well. So, anyways, The Blob, Hills Have Eyes. Anybody seen these ones? An Amityville Horror movie?
I vaguely remember The Blob.
Okay.
I think it was more like, isn't that like a fucking horror movie or something like
that? No, actually, this is the 80s version. The 80s version is fucking dope as hell. But I'm going to throw them in the need to see. Let's see here. And Cujo. Are you a fan of the Cujo movie?
You know what? I've never seen this movie, and purely out of spite, because like everybody in my Mexican family calls like dogs Cujos, and I'm like, I'm just so fucking tired of it. I don't even want to know where it comes from. I
think that's got to be a Spanish thing, man, because my family does that too. Friday the 13th Part 2. I'm just not even.
Oh wait, whoa! Hold on.
All right, hold on.
That's
there we go.
Hold on. We can't not see that. Talk about that movie.
All right, here we go. We're putting on the list here. I'm going to put those two, and then I'm going to put.
If we're going to talk about Friday the 13th, we might as well put up Halloween as well, because we're going to have probably the same conversation about the two movies.
Okay. All right, Friday the 13th Part 2, and Halloween.
Halloween is an S tier movie.
Halloween is an S tier movie.
Friday the 13th Part 2 is an A tier movie.
A tier?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wait, is that the one with Kevin Bacon in it?
No, that's the first one.
Okay, then yeah, it's an A tier movie.
Really? Yeah. Friday the 13th, like the original, is not on this list, is it?
It's right here.
Sorry, my apologies.
The first one?
1 and 2 are here. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
why
yeah.
don't you are here? I saw.
The reason why they're here is probably because one is Pamela Voorhees, the other one is
Voorhees,
Jason.
and the other one is like potato sack Jason Voorhees. Because remember, this is like pitchfork overalls, potato sack over the head Jason Voorhees.
This is I'm wearing the sweater Jason
Yeah,
Voorhees.
we don't get the hockey mask Jason Voorhees till part 3.
We don't get to part 3. We don't get Tommy Jarvis either.
Yeah, which in my opinion is where Friday the 13th becomes S tier. If it's on this list somewhere, that's where it is. That's why I'm putting it at 8 here, because it's a great horror movie, but it's not the most rememberable Friday the 13th out of all of them. And
True.
I think 3 is a lot better than 2, but 2 also is our introduction to Jason. We get to see like the cool kind of creepy stalking of the character throughout this whole kind of cabin town. It sets up a lot of the really cool, crazy horror parts of Friday the 13th that make Friday the 13th what it is. I just don't think it has the iconicness that part 3 has, as opposed to what it introduces into.
I'm gonna say Friday the 13th is in the C tier, where it's like these are progenitors of their time, like Evil Dead, Night of the Living Dead. Like it just
I agree with that as well.
But it's not as good as Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I think is a better movie overall.
This is the Evil Dead 1 of Evil Dead 2.
I agree. Evil Dead 2 though, I'm sorry, Friday the 13th Part 2. Where you nailed it with 3, 4, like that Tommy Jarvis era, to me is better than these
Grabbing a
two.
drink, be right back.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I honestly would say I'd put it. This is gonna sound crazy. I'm gonna say it's D tier.
D tier? I wouldn't put anywhere below C. It still is a really good horror film, a really good slasher, because at the end of the day, it does what it comes to do, right? It's a slasher film. It doesn't try to be more than that. It doesn't try to be anything less. Therefore, I think it does its job well. It's just not as iconic as the 2 films that supersede it.
Yeah, like I'm also looking across as well, and I'm just like, yeah. I'll leave it at B. I'll leave it at B. But I do think this is definitely C.
Yeah, the most I'd go is say, yeah, they're both kind of C, but like this is definitely one I would watch over part 1. Not that I hate Pamela Voorhees.
Yeah.
Funny enough, apparently like Paramount is getting rights to a prequel to this now.
Peacock, baby.
On Peacock. Yes, I don't know, I said Paramount, but yeah, I imagine they're gonna more explore Pamela's end of things, because I haven't watched the film in a very long time, but I'm pretty sure she was killing people before that movie.
She kills, and then 10 years later happens, I think, and then she dies, and then there's the movie takes place. So,
and I don't doubt she was probably killing every now and again in between that. So maybe we're gonna explore that or something like that. But I don't know how they would do anything in that era without Pamela being involved, because let's just be real here. Jason just fucking gets drowned, and that's really kind of about it.
Yeah, that's about
so I don't really need to see a show or a movie about that.
Yeah, the Bates Motel version of this. Yeah, I agree with you. All right. Okay. Fee, I think, stepped away for a second. Do you just want to get the classics out then? Let's just fucking go straight to like.
Let's just take it. So I know you're gonna like to talk about Jaws at some point, because I know you like this film a lot. So why don't you go ahead and put that out where you think it should be?
Fuck. Let's have Child's Play in here too. In terms of a horror movie, I'm gonna say B tier, but as a movie, this is one of the best movies of all time. Ultimately because yes, it is a very simple story of a shark is killing people in this town, and the town has to come over it, and there's a lot of politics and a lot of interpersonal stuff happening as well. And the characters are fucking fantastic, and it's an adventure story, and it's cool, and it's gory. But as a horror movie, it's definitely nowhere near on these lists, if I had to be completely honest. So I put it at B. I would absolutely watch it before any of the movies below it.
I agree with you there.
That's
Which movie are you talking about?
Jaws.
Oh yeah, B for sure.
I love me Jaws. Jaws is one of my favorite movies of all time, but in this case, I would put it at B. Now, Nightmare on Elm Street. Where do you think?
I'm trying to remember. So here, my Freddy Krueger is a little bit rusty, so I don't really necessarily go back and watch a lot of these films. I watch them on occasion, but it's not necessarily like the one I go for, right?
Yes.
I don't remember if the original is as good as the sequels. I know eventually they do wane in quality, but if I remember correctly, the first three are actually really good. If I remember.
First one is, I think, still the best, only because it would manage to balance the talking killer and fucking terrifying before he became a full-on cartoon by 3, basically. 3 is when...
Yeah, I think 3 is like that mix of like comedy and thing, but it's not so bad that it's unwatchable.
Yeah.
I would say for both. I mean, personally, where do you want to put it? What are you thinking?
I mean, it's
he's an icon.
It's so good that it's like in the C category, but I mean, like, it's so much better as a movie that it's a B or A movie.
Yeah, I would go with B.
Go with B.
Yeah, that might be my personal bias against, like, just like not having watched the movies very often. But sure. What do you think, Fee?
Fee, where are you at on this one? Rosie the Riveter, who discovered glasses.
Discovered sight.
Discovered sight because I was getting a headache. I would have to agree with like a higher B.
Yeah, so I moved it kind of here.
Yeah, I think like for the opening to the introduction to Freddy Krueger, and the premise of it, I know I was talking about earlier, like getting to the point where like I enjoy horror films that kind of lean towards the more realistic. This was for its time, and obviously I was not born before 1984, so I was not here when the movie.
What a year!
What a fucking year!
What a fucking year.
No, I think like overall, because knowing how much of a panic this movie caused, where it was just like people didn't want to sleep at night. It was just incredibly unnerving for the people for that particular time. And so I think definitely on the higher B. I have not watched this movie in a very, very fucking hot minute. So there are definitely some scenes that like really stand out. But I think overall, I think it would definitely be on the higher B scale. I know some other people in horror would be like, oh my God, that's like treason.
100%.
And I think it's the same thing with like us putting like
Evil Dead 2 on S tier, right?
That also just like putting like the Friday the 13th lower on the list. Yeah. For some people it could be like y'all don't want.
The first two are fine. If, like I said earlier, if part 3 was on here, it would be straight up to the S's.
Yeah.
But those two movies, because people have this weird remembrance of Friday the 13th that it was always Jason all along, and people forget that part 1 was Pamela, and then part 2 was Potato Sack Jason. Everybody only really remembers part 3 because they remember hockey mask Jason. And the people who know are like, well, yeah, there were still 2 films before that. Like, there was still those 2 kind of progenitors before we really get to Hockey Mask Jason. So those are the progenitors. That's where they are. The one everybody remembers would probably be higher.
Let's be honest. Friday the 13th is one of the weirdest fucking movie series of all time because you got random woman killing these teenagers because they had sex and their son died, to a man is suddenly alive who supposedly was dead, who then dies, and then there was a copycat, and then he comes back as a zombie, and then he goes to and then demons, and then space.
He goes to space.
You know,
New York.
In New York. It's fucking and a psychic girl in one of the movies too. One of the weirdest fucking movie franchises.
There's one of them where he's a worm.
There's
He's a
one where he's a
fucking
worm.
worm.
Yeah, and the Necronomicon's in that one. It's one of
Like,
those
that
like
comes in that movie, yep.
it's the fucking like the movies go like this, up and down in terms of quality, and so that's why I don't necessarily think they are like the greatest of greats, but they are fun. Don't get me wrong, there are fun ass movies. So that's why
And a pretty decent like little Freddy versus thing.
I
And
thought that was fun.
and a remake that had Jared Padalecki in it for some reason.
You know what? That movie, not bad.
Not bad.
They could have made
It's
more.
not terrible. It's not terrible.
It could be worse.
It respects what it's trying to do, and it doesn't do anything more, and I respect it for that.
All right, I'm gonna start throwing some classics up in this bitch, and then we're gonna start.
Child's Play is on this list.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, let's talk about Child's Play. That's the third one here.
Yeah. Child's Play. I'm gonna go ahead and say A tier.
Fuck
A
yeah,
tier.
I'm with you.
Because we have to understand that Chucky is another one of those classics, right? Chucky's one that's going to live with us forever because they have not died yet. It has been a very long time. They're still around. You can't go anywhere Halloween-esque and not see something Chucky related.
Dude,
in my opinion, it is the most gothic movie of the horror icons. You know what I mean? Like, you have like characters like Tiffany and all these other people. You know what I mean? It's very grungy. Later on in these films, right? But we're talking about the first one.
Yeah.
First one, I think, is just good in terms of like, atmosphere. You know what I mean? It does a really good job of taking the idea of The Boy Who Cried Wolf and making it into a doll movie. And just the use of POV shots, animatronics, light little kind of nods here and there to other horror films. Its intro where it's just a fucking gunfight in the middle of Chicago. It's also a Chicago hood classic. We get to see a timestamp of old school Chicago from where the goth Target is to the L train to some of the South Side. It is a time capsule in a way, but it's one of those movies where it spawned an absolute franchise.
Icon.
And it's a franchise that'll live past us and live past even our children.
100%. Got to catch up to season 2. I'm 100% behind A tier. Fee, are you on A tier?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine.
I'm currently trying to.
I see that.
The only reason I would say it's not an S tier movie is because it's also goofy as fuck.
It's goofy as hell. And I love it.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to talk about classics. And we're specifically, I'm talking about The Shining, Rosemary's Baby, and The Exorcist. Let's start with The Shining. All right, let's talk about The Shining here. Shining's good. Don't get me wrong. It's real good. Cinematography-wise, character-wise, iconic as fuck.
Yes.
But I would put it at C tier.
You know what? I'm gonna.
Why?
It's definitely a higher C.
I can see that. Why?
Yes.
It's not necessarily a fun watch. It's definitely there's definitely things about it that are really iconic, like the look of it, the sound of it. There are lines directly ripped from it, but as something that I would like watch on a consistent basis, it's not necessarily there. I would rather watch Dr. Sleep more than this one, even though you don't get Dr. Sleep without this, which is the sequel.
Yeah. I know where you're coming from, because a lot of this movie is it's iconic scenes and not necessarily the movie itself. People really love talking about Red Rum. Again, like it's not something that like people don't really people only talk about the Red Rum. They talk about the two kids with the blood hallway and the hatchet through the door scene. And then maybe the frozen person at the end. Not going to spoil the whole premise of the movie, but yeah, there's a frozen person at the end. I think those are the only 4 things that people really kind of reference in everything, and those are the only 4 things people remember about that movie. Therefore, is the movie itself really good, or is its like cool scenes within it good? Right?
Yeah.
I'd argue the scenes supersede the plot of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I agree with you at C tier.
Good movie. Not arguing.
Good movie.
Yeah.
Would rather watch all the other ones before that one.
That's completely fair. Yeah, after hearing your arguments, I definitely kind of agree. Obviously the scenes themselves are iconic. The like obviously the door scene, just the axe going through the door, and one of my favorite scenes from actually a show called Scream Queens. They redid the entirety of the maze
Oh, that's awesome.
because Chanel number 5 wanted to have no, it was Chanel number 1 who wanted a shining themed maze, and it had to have snow. So they had to get massive hedges obviously, and sorry, just one second here.
That's fine. Also, one of the
I
best
know.
Simpsons episodes, the shinning, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and I also, on the other aspect of it, knowing how some of the actors were treated in the movie,
Yeah,
were not
yeah.
not so good. But no, obviously the scenes themselves are incredibly iconic, and they're used to this day. When you see the hallway scene, you're just like, okay, we're in The Shining. Or
Well,
if you
The
see someone
rug,
chasing someone with yeah.
yeah.
The
We also have to
blowjob
remember The
hair.
Shining was also the book it's based on was written by a guy who was on a giant cocaine fueled binge. So
Fuck yeah, dog.
Oh, for sure.
Cool, dude. Yeah.
Stephen King, if you're out there, I know what's up.
I think we all know what's up because he openly said it.
Straight up. Straight up. Okay. Where are you
Why
putting
isn't
the?
the Crow on here? What the fuck?
I agree with you. I don't know.
I'm joking.
That goes straight to the Army of Darkness territory. The Exorcist. I'll let y'all say it first. Have anyone seen The Exorcist?
I've seen
Yes.
quite a bit of it.
Now, I don't have a high opinion of this movie, not because I think this is one of the movies that were ruined by for me because of hype, right? Like
Yeah.
people say this is the most scariest movie ever. People say it's very horrifying and left them like without sleep for days and stuff like that. We've all heard like all the stories, right? But I watched it very later in life where I stopped giving a fuck about things being scary. Like nothing in this movie scared me at the time, therefore I just didn't really ever kind of get it, but that's only because people were hyping it as being the most scariest thing ever, and when I watched it, it wasn't, and it kind of disappointed me in that respect. So I don't have a high regard for it, but I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Way to not put it on the list. Fee?
Well, just like with my thoughts of Evil Dead, the prolific vomit scene is
Vomit. Not a fan.
not a fan. No, do I like the lore behind the movie and the fact that like a bunch of people met horrific slash are still plagued by the curse of the Exorcist to this day? I think that's pretty cool. But by the way, I don't think it's cool that they ended up in not great situations. Some of the actors
Some of them
actually
are
did pass
dead.
away. Some of them are hella dead. I just want to backpedal for a second. I apologize continuously about that. I don't know. I've never been it's not one of those films that I'm like, I love to watch The Exorcist again, or like, man, The Exorcist was a great movie. Like,
Yeah.
It's another
I
one of
will
those.
say though,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
two things really quick. If I remember correctly, the demon in this is Pazuzu, I want to say. I could be wrong on that.
You're not.
I mean,
no,
once
I think you're. It's Pazuzu is in this movie. I believe you're correct.
Yeah, so I mean, if you know the lore of Pazuzu, I guess, yeah, maybe it's a little bit cool. And then secondary, it also spawned the second scary movie, which I kind of like more than this movie.
The power of
Because I
Christ
think that
compels you.
the whole premise of Scary Movie 2 is this mixed with ghost movies.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, you have to respect it for what it is. It is a very well done horror movie in terms of like camera work, in terms of suspense, and in terms of its horror. I would argue probably B tier, if anything. Maybe like high C.
It's a delicious drink. This is in the category of I don't enjoy watching this. I would not watch this above the others. I can't deny that I'm fucking terrified of it, mostly because I hate religious movies. I hate movies about religion. I hate thinking about death. And this is just another one of those examples of like playing with those fears. And I think that's what it does a very excellent job of that, of like this idea. And it just has a fucking iconic score. It is an iconic movie. There's some iconic scenes. I just don't want to watch it. And I don't know what that says about the movie.
It's kind of like a one-hit wonder in a way, right? It's like it came out, it was really good for its time, but other things have done that its ideas better.
No, I don't agree with you like at all. And that's the problem. The problem is I think this is just too scary of a movie. That's where I'm coming from.
I don't think it's scary at all. There's nothing scary in this movie.
No, I just think that just as the premise alone is just something that just is still too much. That's just my personal opinion. Is it a movie that I want to watch? No. I'll fucking throw this in the E tier, goddammit. But at the same time, I mean, it is also a progenitor movie. And I think C tiers became our sort of progenitor movies in a lot of ways. Yeah.
I would say high C, maybe low B.
Mertens in the chat, please let me know what your thoughts, because, you know, I think you're a balance between some of these thoughts, but.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. If I had to choose, let's say, between... Hera's being very needy right now. If I had to choose between like watching The Exorcist again, or let's say, do I need to watch The Omen that came out 3 years later? Yeah. I would say I would watch The Omen 10
That's what
times.
I mean. Like there are films who have, in my opinion, done it better. You know what I mean? And I'd rather watch The Omen over The Exorcist any day.
See, The Omen I think is worse. Because there's a scene where a guy gets killed by a plane of glass and it's fucking goofy. And I think they're just on two different levels. I think that The Exorcist is definitely more on in my mind, where Jaws is in terms of like cinematic movie. And then The Omen is more in the goofy territory of, it's about the devil. But at the same time, there's just a lot of weird fucking silly shit in it. And don't get me wrong, I love Richard Donner. Richard Donner directed it. He directed fucking Superman. But it's also a movie that I find just goofy. Because there's a scene where they like drive to I think it was a fucking, what was it? It's one of those churches. It's a fucking church. And then the kid just like, I'm fucking burning. I just think that The Exorcist takes its subject matter very, very seriously. And I think that's what makes it terrifying. In comparison to The Omen, in my opinion. But again, it's all just make-believe and fun. So,
I don't know. I think...
Is The Omen even on here? I just want to check.
Sure not. It's not, which
boo.
makes me upset.
Yeah.
I'd
fucking E tier.
Do you want to get off my desk now, girly? Okay.
Get off my dick, girly.
Oh
Fuck
my
out
god.
of here.
No, Jesus.
All right, let's throw another one on the list. What's that on the bottom? What's that in ear tier right now?
Rosemary's Baby.
Not seen it.
Not seen it.
All right, that goes in the did not see list. Okay.
Have you seen Rosemary's Baby?
I have seen Rosemary's Baby. It's one of those movies where it tricks you into it's a horror movie. If you literally didn't see the poster, did not know anything about it, you would not know it's a fucking horror movie until the last 10 minutes of the movie. And
God,
that's what makes it
baby.
really good. And I don't want to spoil anything about it if you don't know anything about it.
Let's get another classic out of the way. E.T.
What the fuck? Oh, it?
Yeah. Oh, my bad. I don't know why I said E.T. I was also reading Final Destination at the same time, so I might have pulled some letters from that. But yeah, no, it. Stephen King's. Is that the?
It's the newer ones.
I was hoping it was the original, or the TV special one.
Yeah.
Because that, in my opinion, that one is superior. Maybe it's my nostalgia kicking in because I fucking love just how goofy that movie, that goofy movie is, but also how terrifying it is. Fee, I know you have chlorophobia, so you probably haven't watched either one of these. I don't really like the remake as much as I like the original, but I do like the remake a little bit. So I would say C. Maybe
yeah,
low
you know what?
C.
I'm with you. I'm with you on C.
No.
I
Low
enjoyed
C.
it. I enjoyed it.
Low freaking C.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
really,
enjoyed it, but I still like the TV special one better. I don't want to say original because there is the one before that, I believe. Before the TV special one.
No.
So I'm not going to keep saying original, but you know what I mean. The Tim Curry one.
yeah.
I don't. Okay, here's the deal. I tried to like go into the lore of it because, of course, I did. So the premise of him being a space spider that's on a constant battle with a like
Again,
a
cocaine.
Cocaine's
like
all of a drug.
I'm gonna be honest.
It's a hell of a drug.
Out
Alright.
of any
Right back.
any specific being in the entire universe, you decide to be a fucking clown. Like
Yeah.
that is not it for me, champ. And not only that, then 2016 it brought the fucking clowns that were just like stalking people. And for that reason, no. Absolutely not. I was fully prepared. I on record, I was fully prepared to knock someone out if they would dress up like a clown and try to freak me out. If I saw like a random guy on the street just standing there as a clown and they tried to come close to me, I would deck them. I don't even care. I'm just like, fuck that nonsense. Absolutely not. No. No.
Mertens in the chat here
continue.
says The Exorcist 3 has one of the best scares towards the end and also features Fabio and Samuel L. Jackson in a dream sequence. That's fucking sick.
What?
Yeah, Fabio and Samuel L. Jackson.
What? No. What? Okay.
He also says, growing up a good Catholic boy, I found The Exorcist a far more terrifying film than most. I also hate how Ryden tortured his cast. Yeah, so that's the thing I wanted to preface before I even talked about Exorcist, is that I saw this very much later in life. We had this discussion last night, Joe, when I said like horror movies used to scare the shit out of me as a kid. Things used to scare everything used to scare me. You know what I mean? Just a little bit of horror used to scare me. And I saw Exorcist very later on in life where I wasn't scared of things anymore. You know what I mean? Like these things didn't really scare me. I just saw them as more goofy. And that's where the kind of luster, I guess, got taken away. I think The Exorcist is one of those films, depending on what part of life you saw, was either the most terrifying, scary thing you've ever seen, or kind of goofy later. Like if you're already at that point in your horror like life where you're like, yeah, I don't really get scared by jump scares and horror or body horror, that. So that's why I wanted to preface that before I even said anything, because for the most part, everybody has a very different experience with Exorcist than I did.
Gotcha.
No, I don't know. I like there's oh my god, I'm just mumbling over words right now. The idea that like you have to push your actors to sanity or exhaustion, dehydration, completely like a mental like break, there's no need for it. Like your movie isn't fucking worth destroying someone's life over, and it's absolutely not okay.
Yeah.
We saw this with The Shining. I know just like Merton's mentioning with The Exorcist, like the director there was not okay, not a good person.
He would
and
shoot guns
it's just
in
like
between
pushing
takes. Ugh. Creepy.
No, it's not fucking worth it. Like
Yeah.
honestly, like it needs to be like horror is a space that doesn't need to be like you
Actually
destroy
horrific.
someone. Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't need to be horrific. Like you can still create a phenomenal horror film and not mentally scar your actors to the point that it ruins their entire lives
Sure.
and causes them to like go into hiding for decades. Like
Yeah, and then
fuck off.
this isn't like a trope that is not uncommon. I mean, even if they are best friends, Bruce Campbell did take a lot of shit in Evil Dead 2 as an actor.
That's true.
And then you can't forget how I don't know the story off the top of my head 100%, but the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is another one that does it, where I believe the director had a bait and switch like fake knife incident where somebody was supposed to be cut with a fake knife, and instead they were cut like legitimately with a real one.
I think that was
and the director knew about it.
I think that was an accident. I was just watching behind the scenes on that recently, and it sounded like they actually had a good time for the most part. It was just too fucking hot. But yeah, I don't know about the knife thing. I have to look into that for sure.
Yeah. Like I said, I haven't done much research on it, but this isn't an uncommon thing with horror movies, and I think it's kind of shitty for a director to actually hurt the real staff so they can get authentic reactions to what's happening in the movie. Just hire better actors, you fucking idiot.
So
that's what I have to say about it.
In that same vein, I'm gonna say fuck William Friedkin, fuck Roman Polanski, fuck Stanley Kubrick's cool.
Yeah.
Except he's an asshole to Julie Duvall, who is this wonderful person. Okay.
Wow,
So
we're getting through this list though. We are getting through this list.
I'm about to. I mean, do you have 2 more, Frank? I know you threw the It on here. Do you have any more?
Final Destination.
All right, cool. I mean,
this is definitely. I like this film. This is definitely a B movie for me. It's one of those movies where, like, I love watching it. It's pretty good. Not a very watchable one. I watch this every maybe 5 or 6 years because I don't necessarily remember every single kill off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, I'd put it at B.
Quick search, and I'll tell you exactly where I put it. I have to look up his name. Let's see here. Oh, that's right. I'm blocked by Devon Sawa.
So B for blocked. Got it.
Yeah, B for blocked. I'm down. I actually have a lot. I do really love Devon Sawa, despite being blocked by him. He was just a dick to a woman, and that's why I got blocked, because I defended her. But basically, I really love Final Destination. However, every preceding movie just makes worse decisions as they go along. I do like 2, but then it just fucking falls off a cliff in a very similar way that I feel close to the Saw movies. But I would rather watch the first Final Destination because it's another one of those early 2000s goofy part of its time movies that I think is fun. It has William William Scott is in it from the American Pie movies, and Ali Lauder, and all these iconic 90s hip hop stars. So yeah, B for me. Looks like B for Fee as well. Frank, give me one more, and then
Blair Witch Project.
Okay, let's talk about it.
I put this as another I'm kind of in between, right? I want to put it at A tier, but at the same time, I think its idea of POV found footage supersedes what actually happens within the movie. The idea of we're getting cut frames of this, right? We're getting every now and again whatever kind of footage. We're not getting the full story. We're only getting small little snippets of the story throughout these times they turn the camera on versus the time they turn the camera off, right?
Yeah.
Its reveal is pretty cool. Its suspense is pretty cool, but at the end of the day, its idea to me is kind of a one-trick pony. But I would say low A, high B. But yeah, I mean, where it is right now, I'd say it's where it should be.
I would say low A. I would definitely sprang a large not just a cult following, but the idea, and there's a lot of video games that also have the same kind of feel to it, where you're a person with a camera in the middle of the woods, or you're trying to figure out what's specifically happening by a view of a camera rather than just the standard. So I would probably say a low A because it did spawn a large kind of mystery to it. We saw a lot of video games and some movies as well. It was the one that we watched a while ago that kind of had the same feel to it. I'll think about it later on.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, really good movie. I will be honest, I definitely watched it after knowing what happened.
Yeah.
Mostly because it was so popular that everyone just talked about what happened, and I'm like, okay, cool. But then I was just like, I guess I definitely need to watch this just to, at this point, mention that I have watched it. But I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more if I didn't know. But
Sure.
I can't go back and fix that, so who
Yeah.
knows?
But I do have to say, the actors and actresses in this movie definitely carry it very heavy. Their performances are really well done. And if they weren't well done, this movie would have crashed and burned without it.
And if I'm
Mhm.
not mistaken, fucking one and dones, right? Like they've never, as far as I'm
Mhm.
concerned, like featuring the person from Blair Witch Project. Even though the movie obviously did 2 other sequels. Yeah, I'm looking at Heather Donahue's stuff. It's like nothing that I've seen like as like big things. So they're forever known as
Yeah.
these characters, as far as I'm concerned. I immediately
And if I
grabbed.
remember correctly,
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
Oh.
I'm switching topics. So go ahead.
And another thing, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong on this, so don't quote me on it. I believe these people are also tortured on set as well,
Mhm.
because they would. I believe they would dress up in they would dress up and go into the woods and just fuck with them. Like they had a separate kind of skeleton crew who would just like kind of put them on edge all the time, which obviously made their performance more authentic because they were starting to get a little unsettled actually because there were people fucking with them within the woods. But yeah, another example of getting fucked with by the director and the producers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure of that story, but I believe it because they are very spooked in that movie for sure. I immediately
Yeah, I'll
went
look
in.
that up, but
Yeah, look that up. I immediately grabbed Paranormal Activity and just grabbed the list. Might as well talk about the successor, as Mertens is
I
pointing out in
don't
the
know
chat.
shit about this film because I didn't watch this film out of spite because I don't like
Really?
ghost shit.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a ghost movie.
That's
I'm like,
right.
I don't
You
really care.
don't like ghost movie. I just think the inventiveness of what they do with the medium is very good. Fee, are you a fan of Paranormal Activity or any of those films? Did you see this movie?
Gonna be honest, didn't watch them.
Oh, okay. Goes on the need to see list. All right, that's fine. Moving right past that. I'm gonna start throwing. Oh wait, Fee, go ahead. You pick 3. I don't think I've had you for a while, right?
The Vitch.
The Vitch. All right.
Yeah.
I like this
no,
movie.
I like it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be honest. I could literally have the guy who voiced
The
Black
father?
Phillip just
Oh,
just specifically talk to me forever. Just like the ASMR, just like whispering, asking me if I want to live deliciously. Like by all means, just whisper in my fucking, like I literally, as you were talking, I put that audio back on and I'm like, oh my god, this is no wonder he got a following. So I would say a very high like B, if not A. It's just,
I'll put it right here.
mind you, it's one of those things where it's just like I cannot listen to that ASMR at all right now.
Not the. It's another one of those experience like in the Suspiria realm of just like being in that and feeling that and like. Oh, it
Yeah.
just there's a feeling to it, a presence. Frank has actually
Correct.
alluded it before, for sure.
Mhm.
Definitely a very interesting movie. It's not something that I revisit personally, but I do. When I remember watching it, I was like, "This is fucking good." Isn't this a good ass movie? So yeah, I'll put it in
Yeah.
the B tier, 100%. I would rather watch that than the lower tier for sure.
Yeah.
2 more.
Cool. Let's see. I've been trying to like keep up with everyone, like keep up with the list.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna specifically select Hereditary, and I'm gonna
Okay.
put it a little bit lower, mostly because I like Midsummer a lot more than I liked
I love
Hereditary.
Midsummer more too, personally.
Midsummer is so beautiful.
I watched that after a breakup. It was the perfect movie to watch.
So fucking good.
Yeah.
It's just
That's a
it's
Frank, me and you got to get high and watch Midsummer and break up with everybody.
but definitely do not watch Hereditary high. That movie is
no.
I think we did. I'm pretty sure we did, didn't we?
Oh fuck, we did.
We did
Oh,
watch Hereditary.
oh, we did watch
We got stoned
Hereditary.
out of our minds and watched Hereditary.
Hereditary. Like Hereditary is not a champ.
No, and you hate. Oh,
It is.
Yeah.
It's a lot. the car scene alone, to this day I will not forget that scene. And
Just
just
that picture.
I
Ugh.
it was very vivid. Um the I will be honest, probably one of my more favorable, like, kind of like, how do I put this? Why can I not remember the wording for this? Because we literally just talked about The Exorcist. What happens in the possession? There you go.
Yes.
Possession specific.
Yeah.
Definitely I enjoyed that more than what I saw with The Exorcism.
Sure.
But yeah, Hereditary is incredibly uncomfortable.
The
And
fucking-
that was the whole premise of it. I need to talk about Midsummer with Joe Medforce. This is on the list of things to do. Oh my god.
Mhm.
For sure.
Fascinating.
I honestly I would probably say a low A,
Okay.
if not a high B. I know a lot of people found it incredibly uncomfortable to watch. For me, it wasn't the most difficult thing to watch. I don't know if that explains anything about me. But I don't know. Midsummer alone was like, for that particular, like, when it was released and that specific horror film, I think it was incredibly done. I just think it's a shame that this came before Midsummer.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's good that it came out before Midsummer, because I don't think I would have liked Hereditary more. Like, I think I would have liked it less if I saw Midsummer first, because Midsummer was the complete polar opposite. Because it's very much, which, by the way, a fucking crime that that's not on this list.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't know why it's not.
Oh, so I wanted to put this out there just because I remember I looked it up already. So yeah, the people in Blair Witch were fucked with about 24 hours a day the whole time. The quote here is from one of the people named Mirik on set. All the weird noises and stuff is just us running around in the woods. When they wake up and there are rock piles outside their tents, we planted those, obviously. The stick figures, we hung them. We just led them around on a 24-hour day stage play, really. We set up the set pieces beforehand, and they would just follow our directions. They had a GPS unit where we would pre-program daily, just let them know where they were supposed to go, and the time they were supposed to be there. We shook their tent. We played noises of little kids playing outside their tent. We made noises in the middle of the night, and we led them to this crazy house at the end. We basically just played the Blair Witch.
It's kind of fucking cool, to be honest, but also terrifying.
Yeah.
I hope they had craft
One of
surfaces.
Quick quote from one of the people who played one of the characters: they let us know that safety was their concern, but our comfort was not. We knew it was definitely going to be 24 hours. We knew it was going to be uncomfortable. We knew it was going to be a witch. We knew that every time we got notes from them, they were designed to generate conflict, and we knew that we should keep the cameras running as much as possible.
All right, well,
It
kind of makes me want to watch the movie again, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, Hereditary, it's definitely uncomfortable, and overwhelmingly so, to the point that the actor who played the main character is still feeling the effects of what happens in the film. Yeah, there is actually an article with him talking about the fact
One of the
that
Naked Brothers. Yeah.
no, the main character, Alex Wolff,
Yeah,
believes
Naked
that yes, my apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't hear what you said, so it sounded like a name,
Yeah.
not what he did, what he
Yes.
does.
Yes.
No, yeah, he feels like, the specific article that I see here from Vice, that was from 2018, he thinks he has PTSD from shooting the year's scariest movie.
Lord.
Which is incredibly upsetting, because, and I don't think it was one of the cases, like, I can be wrong. I don't know what happened on the set, but I think it's more in the lines of the topic and the subject matter is
Sure.
incredibly difficult to consume. And yeah, he was in a film after that. He was in Pig with Nicolas Cage, which I feel like that would be more concerning. Anyway, so
He was
moving
in
forward.
Jumanji, right? Or was that his brother?
No, it was in Jumanji, but Hereditary came out in 2018.
Yeah.
So I think Welcome to the Jungle was. Oh no, but he was in Next Level.
Yeah, he's in Next Level as well. I don't know. He's fine. He's fine.
He's fine.
He's doing okay.
We say this now.
Yeah.
Next week,
Jesus
something
Christ.
happens, and we're like, "Oh man, we made a mistake." Carrie is my last choice.
Okay, thank you.
I was wondering where it was because I couldn't see the poster. I don't think I've ever seen this poster for Carrie.
Here's the deal. I like Carrie, but I'm going to be honest, and this is going to sound very confusing. I'm going to give a very quick spiel on why I think Carrie is the horror film version of like Cinderella. And the reason why I think this is because there's so many freaking renditions of Carrie at this point, and other like movies that have tried to be Carrie and then like put like essentially a Cinderella story spin to Carrie, to the point that I'm just like, the original, phenomenal, incredibly well done, incredibly disturbing. Fuck everyone in that gymnasium. Get fucked. But at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But it just feels like, and I noticed this as well when I was watching the kill count for Carrie, then Carrie, then Carrie, then Carrie, and then I'm just like, oh, okay, this is getting a little bit suspicious. Yeah, it just very much had a reminiscent of that vibe.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't know.
Really,
Mario seems a little like he's been making faces as I explain this.
No, I agree with you. No, I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. Just my only thing with this is that it's again one of those progenitor movies, but in the sense of like the first 5 minutes is just softcore porn and it's weird. It is a weird opening to a movie. Frank, do you remember this? Have you seen this movie, Frank?
I've seen both of them. I've seen both the remake and the new, the OG, the original.
It fucking opens up and it's just naked women in the shower as the credits are going on. And I get what it's trying to say, but it's also salacious enough where I'm like, this is a little weird. Like they could have not shot it this way.
It teeters that line of horror and smut, right? Like some people really like a lot of smut in their horror. Some people like, just a lot of grounded, horrific stuff actually happening. I personally, I really don't care either or, but I mean, it's just one of those movies where just like, I feel bad for the person, but I don't necessarily like, I don't really like the twist all that much. It's just people being shitty. I just don't really care for Carrie all that much. Like, as a film.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I watched it not that long ago as well because I was on a very big Stephen King kick after Castle Rock was a TV show, and I watched Carrie because it's a Brian De Palma film. It's one of the guy who created the fucking Godfather, not created but directed it, and so I wanted to give it a shot. And I just overall there are elements of it that I really like. The ending's fucking creepy, especially the music, but it's just not a movie that I think about. But I'll Fee, where would you like to put it on the list personally?
I would say a higher B.
Okay, you know what? Fuck it.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
Fuck, I don't disagree with you either. There's some stuff in it that's fucking great. By the way, have you seen the Zoran music videos? By the way, we'll watch them after when we end tonight.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it's basically your premise of what you said, and it's fucking awesome.
And I also see Martin saying, recently heard a podcast about Needy from Jennifer's Body fighting to death with Carrie.
Fucking Jennifer's Body, by the way, fucking awesome movie.
Oh my god,
You hate it? You hate it?
No, I love it.
I love it.
I love that movie.
It's great, especially with fucking Adam Brody in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, let's carry on from Carrie, and I'm
gonna throw these out here because I don't know if you've seen. I want to know if you guys seen these movies real quick.
I haven't seen The Host.
The Host, Train to Busan, and House.
I've seen neither of these three films.
Okay, I've seen. Okay, here the travesty of this. I've seen half of Train to Busan because I paused it to do something, and I have not gone back to it. So I need to watch it from the beginning.
Okay.
I have seen The Host.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, The Host. shocker, was real like to this day, I'm still very much into like things like K-pop and K-dramas and stuff like that. And the host was a horror film that came from Korea. And it was I honestly wouldn't call it a horror film. It has very much the same feel as like Cloverfield, where it was like, what is the monster? What's happening? What's going on? Like, it was real. Like, I personally enjoyed it. It was very like, it was creepy. Mind you, we did actually get to see the monster, whereas with like the original Cloverfield, that was something I could not make it like I did make it through the Clover. We'll talk. That's a whole other thing. We're not going to talk about it right now.
The host.
Yeah, the host, not host. It's the host.
The host.
It's the 2006.
With the most cosmos.
Yeah.
Yes. Bong Joon-ho, right? No, am I saying that right? Yeah, Bong Joon-ho directed Parasite and Snowpiercer.
You mean Bong Joon-ho?
I was close. But I was wrong.
Close.
But I was wrong.
Close. No, it was wild.
Where would you put it on the list?
Put it up on the list.
I mean, I would probably put it like mid C.
All right.
I haven't watched it in a while.
The ending fucked up. The ending's fucked up.
Oh, the ending's fucked up. The CGI in the middle of it was.
Yeah. There's a great there's actually a commercial with the monster in it that is like also out there. It's like a car commercial. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
They almost have the same
house.
Oh, no. Hold on. Fee, go ahead, Fee.
I was just gonna say the creatures kind of remind me of The Quiet Place.
I can see that. Yeah, for sure.
Like that's my explanation of that.
All right. House. Have any of you seen House?
No. What's it about?
You need to fucking correct that immediately. This is the first thing we watch if we watch any of these movies. House is
we have to.
A Japanese Evil fucking Dead, and it's about this woman who goes back to her aunt's house. Her aunt just so happens to be a fucking ghost, but
that's why I haven't seen this.
No. But it's she invites all of her friends to go with her during the summer, and they're all their names are like attributes and traits, and it's fucking Evil Dead. It's just fucking Evil Dead, but with these 7 like teenage like K-pop. J-pop stars. These were idols. These are all real idols at the time. It's fucking incredible. The actual like this is the most blood I've seen in a movie. Which is incredible. It has Frank, you have no fucking idea. This movie is incredible. We have to watch it immediately. That's all I'll say. That's why Mertens is screaming in the chat. Just absolutely delicious. Okay, we're getting to the nitty gritty. I'm gonna go ahead and I already did my 3. Frank, what is your next 3?
Let's take Alien.
Okay, the original.
I can't see some of these because the fucking helmet. Let's take Ring.
Okay.
And let's take let's take Psycho. Let's take Psycho.
Okay, Psycho it is.
I'm gonna say Alien is an S tier movie. I like Aliens as much as I like Alien, so I can't really say anything. H.R. Geiger's designs are probably some of the best shit I've ever seen in my life. The atmosphere in this movie is really good. I like how dark everything is. I like the way it plays with lighting. I like the way it plays with the xenomorphs. I like the way I like the kills in it. It's really well done. And it spawned a franchise. I mean, Alien is another one of those things where even though we're in this weird Prometheus era of weird cocaine field bullshit going on, I think it's a franchise that'll eventually will come back in another form every 10 or so years, right?
TV show. It's coming back as a
TV show. It's always going to live on, and it's built a franchise, and it's going to continue to be around. And in my opinion, one of the coolest things about it is that it has a fucking badass female protagonist. Like that wasn't like on the same level of Ash had that plot. Oh, it kind of had a plot armor, but it was really cool just to see. Yeah, no, she that's the kind of, and I'm like, oh, I forgot what part 2.
Part fucking 3.
No. Yeah, yeah, no. But yeah, no, it has really cool elements and really cool inventive stuff. Really, like it's a fucking classic.
Certified hood classic.
Yeah, certified hood classic. The Ring. I'm gonna put it at B. I like the film. I think it's very scary. My dad fucking is absolutely terrified of that movie. He will not watch it. So I think that's why it doesn't deserve anything above under a B. Because if it could scare my dad, he likes horror movies. I think it's got to have something, right?
Yeah.
Me, I'm so numb to all this scary shit that I watch it. I'm just like, it has cool little things here and there. But it was one of those like big kind of breakout horror movies where everybody was rushing to the theater to go see that at the time, because it was so unique. I think, yeah, no, a bunch of my family members went to go see it. I didn't actually see it in theaters. I wound up seeing it later on, like DVD or something like that. But yeah, no, it's a classic. I think it deserves its B title. It's not necessarily A classic or an S tier, but I think B is fair.
I've never seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't have an opinion.
B.
Yeah. I was kind of shaking my head at one point, but then I'm like, you know what? I agree. Yeah, it was okay at best. There was a lot of things that just like,
Yeah, it's not necessarily the best, but it's not necessarily the worst. It's very balanced, and that's why I'm like, yeah, B for balance. Right there.
Yeah, B for balance, great, absolutely. And yeah, because it was during the age of like, oh, this was really popular and really good in like Japan. Let me just take this and just westernize it. And I'm like, did it really need to be westernized? That's my take on that.
Yeah.
Sequels.
Let's put Jared Padalecki in everything, and then just remake it. So I picked Psycho. I picked Psycho in the sense of just like I kind of just wanted to get it over with. I don't remember much on this movie. I only remember the one scene everybody else remembers. That's really kind of about it. It spawned really cool parodies and really cool things. It's definitely a classic in some respect, but I personally just don't remember much about it. I would actually like to hear where you guys would like to put this one. Because to me, this is more CB, but Mario seems to remember a little bit more because I know you referenced it earlier.
We all go a little mad sometimes. If I had to be honest, I'm going to say A. I still think that it holds up in terms of the general story of it, but I also think that the performance of Anthony Perkins is just so iconic to the point where he is up there with Freddy Krueger, but being the polar opposite. Not a funny, over-the-top guy, just being a total innocent person that turns on a dime. I just find him super chilling. There's a great scene where they're talking in a room filled with taxidermy, and it's just unsettling. And it is one of those. It's again in the C tier of the progenitors because it's also like one of those first major slashers, but also still rose above the rest. Like I put it up there along with Jaws. Hitchcock is a master for a reason, and I feel like he put a lot of his blood, sweat, and tears into that one because he was actually in a downward slope, if I'm not mistaken, at this point, and Psycho was the one that like pushed him back up into the upper echelon. Personally, yeah, I just think that Psycho is still a classic. Also, another one of those early queer films, which I learned a lot watching the documentary. So definitely put that in high regard too. So
also, he technically did put his blood into this movie because his daughter was in it.
That's right.
Pat Hitchcock
Yeah.
was in this movie. Yeah. Also, just shout out to Janet Leigh for having one of the most phenomenal daughters in the business. Just saying. I'm not just saying that that's the only reason why she's a good actress. I just want to put that out there.
You just like her because she evil died tonight. You know, like that's
no,
her daughter,
I would like
right?
to
I just
say
want to
I
double
would-
check. That's
Evil
her daughter,
did not
right?
indeed die
Correct.
tonight.
Yes.
Did you not know? Yes, it is Jamie Lee Curtis's mother.
Yeah, it's
That's
Jamie Lee
why
Curtis's mother.
Yeah, no, that's why she's considered a prolific scream queen,
Yes.
other than obviously Halloween and Scream Queens, n- not to be named just because of that. Anyway, no, it's I personally I remember seeing Psycho way too long ago to the point that I need to rewatch it for sure. I'm more than happy to rewatch it because I would love to like just sit down and like watch a lot of like more classic horror films. Oh my god, the amount of inappropriate posts this evening.
Right.
Um yeah, I already got rid of them. No, it's a classic. Obviously we all know the shower scene. And obviously Anthony Perkins. His just unnerving. Also my name is Nathan. I'm just joking.
Oh my god. Yeah. He does kind of have a Nathan Fielder thing. The one thing I will say, fucking Anthony Perkins was like at the top of his game. He was like a heartthrob, one of those guys in like the movies who would be like the boyfriend that you would like all the girls wanted. And then he was like, no, I want to do this movie because it speaks more to me because he was a closeted gay man. And so it's just like, nah, fuck that. I want to do this movie. This movie speaks way more to me. And I'm like, you know, I fucking respect that. And he was never seen like that again. He's only now known as this fucking guy.
Yeah, because I could not tell you some of the heartthrob specific characters that he's played.
Yeah.
Um
They all
and
pale in
honestly,
comparison.
yeah, I think it's great that he pushed the barrier for himself and like didn't want to be typecasted because we see it quite often nowadays where people get typecasted for a specific role and he's just like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm going to be the unnerving character that has now spawned a very long line of like spin-offs. There has been obviously the show.
That he directed.
Shout out fucking Olivia Cook because that's where I knew her from and
Stunning.
it was stunning. Also, random aside, we have to check out something after this that's associated with Olivia Cook.
Oh Lord.
But I digress. Oh, it's so fucking good. No, it's definitely a. Oh, continue.
I was say, where
No,
would
you
you
can.
put it?
I would say like a very like high B, if not an A, because of just the amount of continuing like genres because of Psycho.
I could agree with that. I said like high C, low B. I could see that.
Two
Yeah.
of you say B, I say A, so therefore it is B. So there we
Okay.
go. B it is.
I have a very dumb question before
yeah.
we continue.
Yeah.
This is without me even looking.
Christ.
But this is gonna be. You guys are gonna be like, Fiona, you're an idiot. Okay, so there's Psycho.
Yeah.
And then there's the movie American Psycho.
Yes. Not the same. Not the
Which
same.
people always confuse
Not
for
the
some
same.
reason.
Which people confuse. Obviously, I know that they're completely different, but are they like influence? Like,
No.
is American Psycho? Okay, cool. Just
Yeah,
need to know
American
that.
Psycho is just like about a fucking dude who's just like pretending to like be somebody who's not, right? Or trying to fit in.
Yeah.
Like a true American pride person, literally fucking becoming a psycho in its name.
In the very much in the vein of like he is a Wall Street guy, very much just like he basically has everything, and then the only thing that he does is he fucking kills people, and it's fucking awesome, and he gets away with it because he's white.
Yeah, he realizes that this is what he actually likes. He doesn't like being a follower.
Okay. It's a movie I need to see. So I wasn't sure. That's why I asked.
Yes,
Ooh,
we should. That's another one we should put on there. It's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's get another 3 up on this motherfucker board.
3. Let's go. Strangers, Trick or Treat, and Babadook. Let's go.
I've not seen Trick or Treat, so I have no opinion. I've not seen Strangers. I swear I think I've seen Babadook, but like I don't fucking remember.
Okay, so it's up to me and Fee. I've seen all 3 of these.
I've seen Trick or Treat.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I haven't watched The Strangers, but I fucking know what happens in the end because someone decided to spoil the shit out of that movie for me. And the other one I don't know at all.
Oh, so then that's another. Oh, Sophie, Frank, you're saying you don't remember it, so I guess.
Yeah, I don't remember shit. I know the name, but like I don't remember its premise. I don't remember what it's about.
Very good, very good. Recommend checking it out.
All right, you get to put this up on the list, and I won't tell you where or why. I have an opinion on this movie. It's one of those things where I see it in Party City and like Spirit Halloween, and I don't know. I just feel like it's more marketing than actual movie, but it's just me.
From a guy who has not seen a fucking frame of the movie.
That's what I'm saying.
No, this is a certified Halloween fucking classic that needs to be watched every year. Every frame of the movie, there's something there that you can rewatch 1,000 times and you'll find something new. It is an anthology story in the vein of another movie that I might just throw on this list too, Creepshow, where it is 4 stories, 3 main ones and like a wraparound story. All centered around this one night in Halloween in this very small town. And the character of Sam is sort of like the arbiter between the 3 stories. He's sort of like, he's your crypt keeper. He's your, the person that carries you along the story until he eventually gets involved in the movie. And it's 100% worth its salt, just as a film. Very scary, very spooky, very much in the October vibes. Very iconic in terms of not just Sam himself. Sam is an iconic thing, but also I would say, the children segment of the movie, which their masks are absolutely terrifying. I remember watching that segment of the movie and actually getting emotionally attached to those characters because of what happens is really fucking fucked up. And then the release of what happens after that's a lot of fun. And the way that the stories are all connected are also very awesome, especially if you've never seen it. There's a lot of fun people in the movie too. Yeah, I love this movie. I think it's a certified Halloween classic. Fee, what are your thoughts?
I agree. No, it's one of those things where like it almost, when I first watched it, and then obviously I ended up watching, like I watched the first one.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, I ended up just deciding to like watch the kill count of it. Not sure why I decided to go down that route.
Yeah.
But it's almost as if like this is what Halloween was supposed to be, where it was supposed to be kind of an anthology. Like, by the way, for people who don't know, Halloween was supposed to be an anthology, wasn't supposed to just be about Michael. So it's just like, it's what it kind of borders the like the itch that I used to like get when it came to like how like, and obviously it's not Halloween Town. I understand this. And it like I just want to put the premise, this is not fucking Halloween Town. But it had that kind of like the sense of like, okay, these kids have to get out of this fucking crazy ass situation. And it wasn't just like, there are definitely the adults in the movie by all means, but it's, I don't know, it's one of those movies that when I think of Halloween, there's things like Hocus Pocus, Nightmare Before, like not Nightmare Before Elm Street, oh my goodness. No, Nightmare Before Christmas. I watched that one today. My apologies. But no, it was a good film. I don't know if I would go back and watch it.
You should.
I probably should. Because I'm looking at it right now, and if I didn't know what this was about, I would think that this was like supposed to be a kids' film. Like just like the art.
No,
And
fair enough, but fucking kids get brutally murdered in this movie.
oh, 100%. And honestly, I was just like, do it. Just like some of these kids.
Fucking beheading.
Like,
Oh, so good.
I'm just like, fuck them kids. No, I'm just joking. It's just like it's so frustrating sometimes where kids are just like, I don't have kids. I just want
Sometimes you just want to football kick a kid, you know?
This is
No,
the perfect
because-
movie.
Just straight up.
So I'm
Kick
gonna
'em
like
past the goal line.
I'm posting a photo in the general chat. Like if I didn't know what this was, other than like, yeah, it's a little bit creepy, but you know what also had really creepy themes and looks to it? Fucking Nightmare Before Christmas. Like if I had to see the boogeyman as a kid, the boogeyman was horrific. Like the inside of the boogeyman is like more terrifying than this image. Like if
Yeah.
I was just like, if
This is
someone
not,
was just like,
but to be fair, this is not original art. This is someone drew this.
oh, I know, but I'm just saying, like, if I search up trick or treat, that's one of the first images that appears. Like, okay, let me just bring this up here.
But that's what I mean by earlier when I say like marketing wise. I'm just like, oh, but when I see it in Party City, it just looks like you said, it kind of just looks like a kid's film. Maybe that's why I haven't seen it.
Do you know what it looks like? It looks like, what is it? Oh my god, he's from PlayStation.
Sackboy.
Sackboy?
Yeah, Sackboy. It looks like Sackboy. I don't know. It's weird.
No, absolutely. I think that it's one of those things where he immediately became a mascot for horror, and if you haven't seen the movie, it just seems a little weird as this weird child. But when you see him as more of the literal actual embodiment and spirit of fucking Halloween, then to see what he does is on the level of Chucky in the film itself. Even if he doesn't say a line in the whole movie, the whole premise though of the intertwining stories and how they connect throughout the whole night in this small town, I think is just, that adds to the power of the movie. And how, like I said earlier, where even though there's short segments, they're like 15 minutes probably per story, there's so much packed in there that if you literally blink and miss, there are things in there that are just so rewarding on multiple watchings. That's why I think, like, when I think about Halloween movies, there are movies that I need to see like right away and watch multiple times. This is a movie that literally is not, it's the opposite of Member Berries. It's more of like there's little things that are just like additive to the actual overall experience in a way that I don't think a whole lot of movies do. And so that's why I think Trick or Treat is just above the rest in terms of as a Halloween movie. Is it the scariest movie? No. But at the same time, it's probably one of the more fun movies.
Yeah, no, actually, this is going to be a very weird way to like specifically go about this. No, so I was just like, I just wanted to look up like Trick or Treat on and then an IMDb review came in, and it was just like, it's not like, yeah, it's like, okay, the explanation is Trick or Treat is not the gore fest that many horror fans might be expecting. There are definitely some elements of fright, but this is a good storytelling with a few scares and blood thrown in. There is obviously some nudity and things slapped in there, which adds in like the restricted banner.
That's all you had to say. Let's go.
There you go.
There's some titty in here.
There you go, Frank. You can get. There you go. But no, I think it's the best part about it is the storytelling and the different stories that connect, just like you were mentioning. And I will give it another watch through if we end up sitting on Discord and watching it. I won't fall asleep. That's a good explanation. Where for people who are joining us now, I fell asleep watching Evil Dead 2. Which is, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm gonna be honest, when I think
like
back,
falling asleep during church. That's the same level.
Our current top S tier, Evil Dead 2. Just want to put that perspective.
Well, here's the deal. I didn't put that on
that is
the
fair.
S tier.
That is fair. Where would you put this on the list?
A very, very high B.
You know what?
Okay, that's fair.
I'll take it.
That's fair.
I'll take it.
We'll watch it eventually, but
I now can't I can't look past it being Sackboy.
me neither. Let's just take the last four. Just fucking throw them up. Fuck
All
it.
right. Oh, Creepshow. Has anybody seen Creepshow?
Creepshow. No,
No.
I actually haven't seen Creepshow.
It's really good. It's a John Romero movie.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
John Romero mixed with Stephen King, so more drugs. Okay.
Oh, so a lot of drugs then. That's about double the cocaine right there.
Double, triple the cocaine. Leslie Nielsen's in it. It's fucking Ted Danson's
I've not seen The Fly.
Okay.
I don't know what that first one is.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I know of it. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen
I'm
it
sorry.
either.
Nope.
Obviously, if he hasn't seen it, Chlorophobia.
Yep. The Conjuring and and Poltergeist.
I have not
Poltergeist. I vaguely remember, vaguely remember.
You guys are breaking my heart.
Again, ghost movie. Don't I've seen it. I just don't care.
So good, dude. All right, Conjuring, another ghost movie. More possession.
Another one I vaguely remember. And then before somebody chastises me in chat or something like that, I just don't care about ghosts, man.
God. All
right. Demons or nothing.
This is demons.
All right. Demons are cooler versions of the ghost stories. Let's be real here.
This is demons. Fee, how about you? Conjuring.
Okay, I haven't seen The Conjuring. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
Okay, here's the dealio. Here's my deal. So I don't know if you I don't know. Whenever I think of The Conjuring, I'm like, is this Sinister? Because I'm like, they kind of have the same. No, they're not the same. But here's the thing. No, it's just the name. Because I'm like, okay, there's a creature, a being who gets who kills off families, which by the way, why isn't Sinister on this list? Two,
you know what? Yeah, why is Sinister on this list? You know what else is on this list? The Leprechaun Goes to the Hood. How the fuck isn't that on here, huh?
He's asking the real questions. Why is the first Red Leprechaun not on here? This is bullshit.
Yeah,
Okay.
Where's the Leprechaun? Where's Urban Legends Final Cut? You know what I mean? So bring some more '90s movies in here. Where the fuck is what's the other one? What about Darkness? Darkness Falls. Where's Darkness Falls at?
Fucking hell. The Mist. Okay.
The Mist. Where the fuck is the Mist?
3 hours in.
Okay, no, either way, I had to figure out, I literally had to Google it because I'm like, I've not seen The Conjuring. Quite frankly, do not plan on watching Sinister either. I watched the kill count of it, and that gave me just enough to know that is not the movie I'm ever going to watch.
They're very different movies, but yes, they're both great.
Yeah, okay. It's just a name. I just get confused, and then I'm just like, I haven't watched either of them, so I don't know.
Sinister, 2 movies. Conjuring, 1,000. So don't worry.
All right, we have a list.
I was gonna say, starting from the bottom, now we just move movies and where we think they should be on this list. Go.
I think everywhere where everything is should be where it is, unless you have a different opinion on Jaws and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't think anything is where it shouldn't be.
Honestly, you know what? Okay, no, Mario, you go first.
Let's lock shit in. All right, Jeepers Creepers by itself because it's the worst movie out of all of these, in my opinion.
Correct.
Okay. Second tier, Silent Hill, Cannibal Holocaust, Hostel, Silent Hill. That's how we're locking it.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Cool. Now, C tier is interesting. We have The Shining, Evil Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Friday the 13th, The Host, Birds, Hush, Friday the 13th Part 2, and It. Any of these need to be rearranged. Cool,
Yeah.
Yeah, I love The Host, but I think Parasite is a better movie, so I think that's a fine spot to be. Okay, we're locking in C. Okay, we're making movements here. B tier is where we got most of our movies. We got Nightmare on Elm Street, Army of Darkness, Trick or Treat, Psycho, The Beach, Dawn of the Dead, Carrie, Suspiria, Final Destination, 28 Days Later, Jaws, Dead Silence, The Exorcist, The Ring. I think there's some movement in this one.
Okay, what's the movement for you?
I'm gonna say shit. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm putting Jaws at number 5. Just on here. I would keep everything else.
Yeah, I think that's fair because, like I said, I'm pretty sure you were gonna bring up Jaws as like a movement thing.
2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think where everything is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. B. I'm still mad about the thing being at A tier and not S tier. Are we comfortable where everything is locked in here?
Fuck it, make the thing an S tier movie. I think
There you
it
go.
has potential.
All right, I'll put the S tier. So Cabin in the Woods then number 1 of the A tier.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Dawn
feel
of
so.
the Dead 2, Child's Play, Quiet Place, Hereditary, Saw, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Blair Witch. Any movement?
I'd put Child's Play above Dawn of the Dead in my opinion. I've seen Child's Play a lot more than I've seen Dawn of the Dead.
Fee, you want to back him up on that?
So go for it.
But you haven't seen Dawn of the Dead either, right?
True. But here's, you know what? I would say, and
cultural impact is
I just
zombies.
don't like Chucky. So
Yeah, but like, I will be real. Most people remember the other things over the OG Dawn of the Dead when it comes to zombies.
Because like, and as much as I agree with Frank, and here's the reason why. It's because of the late 2000s, early 2010s where zombies became so fucking congested that like some people, like, if I wasn't a horror fan, I know who Chucky is. I could not tell you Dawn of the Dead. And the reason why is because, did I have something on my forehead? Anyway, is because of the congestion of the zombie apocalypse.
See, I think Dawn of the Dead is just so fucking immune to that oversaturation. I just think Dawn of the Dead is such a fucking classic film.
It is a classic.
There's a lot of My Chemical Romance references come from Dawn of the Dead for sure.
But also one of those two franchises is still alive.
You're not wrong. They did make a fucking shit ton of stupid sequels of the fucking series.
That's what I mean. Like, not a lot of people like remember Dawn of the Dead as Dawn of the Dead, right? Like, a lot of people are either half and half to like remember the remake or the original, right?
Mertens, where are you at? I need you on this one. You're the progenitor here. No, hold on. A battle between Child's Play and Dawn of the Dead here. In terms of sequels, I would watch more Child's Play sequels than I would Dawn of the Dead. So I will go ahead and concede and give that the second spot there. So then I would say Cabin in the Woods, Child's Play, Dawn of the Dead, A Quiet Place, Hereditary, Saw, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Blair Witch Project. Locking that in?
I think that's pretty good. Unless you have anything else to move.
Anything else? All right. Our top tier S fucking list films. And I'm so happy I convinced someone to put the thing up here. Because we have to have more than one John Carpenter movie. Which, by the way, this fucking list is fucking prolific, by the way. We have Sam Raimi. We have Wes Craven. We have fucking Jordan Peele. We have John Carpenter and Ridley Scott. We have fucking the OGs right here. Oh, Frank, are we...
Evil Dead 2 is not going to move.
I was just going to ask you that.
I will. What do they do in Congress where they just stonewall the shit out of everything?
Filibuster?
I will filibuster for Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2 stays where it is. God damn it.
If you had to, what would you have above Evil Dead 2? If you had to think of one, and if I agree with you,
Scream, literally Scream, the one that's right beside it.
Fee.
Okay. The only way that I'm gonna convince you to move something above Evil Dead, that's what I'm saying. It's right in front of you. You know that it's true.
Okay.
Are you gonna pull out more Screams? Are you gonna pull out the mask and just put it on your head? Are you gonna pull out a knife? Are you gonna are you going down the
oddly
street
enough,
and kill
the one
Frank?
thing I don't own is the fucking mask. I don't own it.
Do you know what would be hilarious? Just like it would have made content if you just put on the mask and just left, and then like all of a sudden just like hop in Frank's screen and be like,
this is the joke we've literally said so many times. One day we're gonna do it.
It's gonna
be fucking hilarious.
Oh my god.
Fee, fuck. Like, I don't want
Remember
to be
your
here.
love for Sam Raimi. Remember your love for Bruce Campbell. Remember how good that scene is where they're all laughing at him and the shots and everything. Remember how good that POV shot is.
Just fucking Scream is the franchise to rival Evil Dead, and how much I love the sequels. And this is
Yeah,
just.
but we wouldn't have Scream without Evil Dead.
It's not true at all. It's not.
I know,
not
but
true.
look, I'm filibustering. Okay, I don't give a shit.
We wouldn't have Evil Dead without Wes Craven. Wes Craven created Scream, so that's why I'm
Okay.
just like.
I'm gonna. Okay, let me take this for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in the 90s, like when it came to horror films, sure there was a few. There was definitely some standouts. But there was also a slight dry spell. And do you know what brought the horror genre back to where it needed to be? A little movie called Scream. They convinced an entire nation that Drew Barrymore was going to be the fucking end girl and kill her off. And they're just like, fuck you. And then you know what? They had so many fantastic actors. They had Courtney Cox. They had David Arnett. They had like a bunch of like Arquette, sorry, my apologies. They had like God, just so many different
Frank.
like standouts.
Yeah, but also Sam Raimi made this movie with a box of fucking scraps.
In a cave.
All right, in a cave. All right. Wes Craven had multiple budgets. All right. Sam Raimi only had one,
Frank.
and that was his fucking spirit.
Frank, you got to understand here, okay? David Arquette met Courtney Cox on the set of this movie. All right. By Scream 2, they were dating.
I will tell you right now, before you finish your story, I don't give a shit about either of those people.
By Scream 3, they were married.
Again, like they're just people.
By Scream 4, they were divorced.
Good. Again, I don't fucking care. This movie has Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi in it. And chainsaws and shotguns.
But they came back. And they came back to 5. And seeing them on screen together.
They can go fuck themselves.
Frank, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Frank. I'm so sorry. I have to pull you out of your
You're playing into Fee's hand. Fee just wants this to be not the top. You know this, and I know this. She's she's letting her biases cloud your judgment.
Frank,
Here's the deal.
I actually quoted Star Wars a second ago by accident, and it's very much of like me turning to the dark side. It's very, very, very simple.
Yeah.
Let me get my quote.
Don't listen to her. Shit. You come to Evil Dead more than you do Scream.
Do I though?
Yeah, you play the game. I don't see you playing Dead by Daylight Ghostface anymore. I see you play Evil Dead though.
To be fair, I don't play that game alone in general. No, I'm not gonna move. I'm sticking. Scream.
I also just want to say one of them currently has a movie coming out. The other one
They both
had
do.
a show that got canceled.
A show that got canceled but also ended really decently.
Wait, they both got movies. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they both got movies coming out, by the way. So you're wrong. Evil Dead still lives.
One
In
did
fact,
have
has
actually.
lived.
Holy shit, Fee! Both had shows that got canceled.
Yep. So I don't know where you're getting all this from. You know what I mean?
Scream had a TV show as well.
Also, in defense of Evil Dead, Scream also had way too many movies. I think the first one's really good. The other ones are hit or miss. Evil Dead only had bangers. The first one is still really good. Army of Darkness is really good, and Evil Dead 2 is really good.
Those movies are so good, you still have not seen the remake.
Well, the remake is I don't really care about the remake. I like my little pocket world of the classics.
Yeah, I'm sick of a Scream. All right.
I just want to let you know you played into Fee's hand. Congratulations, Fee. You manipulated this man.
third movie, Get Out, Halloween, The Thing, Alien. In my opinion, The Thing is better than Get Out.
Yeah. Also Halloween.
Yeah,
Sounds
I think it's better than Halloween as well. Get Out better than Alien.
Yeah, I would say so too. Get Out is definitely a low S tier.
Well, there you have it, folks. We have Scream, Evil Dead 2, The Thing, Halloween, Get Out, and Alien as our S tier movies. We did it. Almost 3 hours and 30 minutes of figuring out this list. Fun discussion to be had. By the way, totally did not know he had a Red Room thing when I saw that. It's fucking incredible. But we have a lot of movies that we need to see, and there's some bangers in here that I can't wait, hopefully, to show you guys. These are the 2 top movies that I do recommend that we see: Brain Dead and House, only because they're Evil Dead but without a tree. So I would heavily recommend to checking those out. But yeah, I don't know how you guys are feeling. It's late.
I'm exhausted, my dude.
Yeah, I'm done.
I think that was a fun stream alone. So I want to thank everyone who has stopped by. Carlos, Harv, who showed up. Of course, Merton's in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. All the bots that showed up, thank you so much for showing some love and support. And again, this was fun. And happy Halloween. Halloween's going to end actually in Halloween ends literally in 8 minutes for us. So this has definitely been good. Actually, Halloween's been over for you for a while. It's November 1st for you.
That is very true.
So we shall end this right here, right now. Frank, do you want to take the helmet off for the grand reveal? Because you've been wearing that literally for 3 hours.
He's really angry right now. It's fine.
I'm fuming. I'm absolutely angry. My disappointment is immeasurable. My day is ruined.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're here. Of course, you can find the Frank GV on Twitter, but also on his latest episode with Mers and Mertens, which was very good. I watched it this morning, so very nice, very spooky. Thank you much for that conversation. Fee, of course, being Rosie the Riveter. Fee, you're still Ceramics, right? Still doing.
I sure am.
Thing?
Yeah.
Still the thing people know you by. Anything cool happening? Anything cool coming up?
Mid of the month, we're doing the last episode of Speaking of Stadia.
Fucking A. Congratulations.
Yeah. Well, wow, thanks.
No, I mean, you're going to go off on a high note, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. November 16th.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. You can follow me, Edward D. Wood Jr., writing my first movie, Glenn and Glenda. Very shortly. Of course, you can find me at that Rivera. And this has been a fun, spooky time. So until next time, progress is spooky.
Peace.
Peace.